Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to what's it called? Welcome back to RC Pilots Lounge, show 1856, probably. Who's counting? It's been 6 years. Thanks for coming tonight, ladies and gentlemen. If you're in the room, go ahead and leave a comment, say hello. We got a special show tonight. It's a little different. Don't do this all the time, but we're going to this time. We've talked about it in the past, and it has finally come to fruition that we have our friend and foe, Brian Phillips RC, and Megan going to be on the show tonight. So we're going to hang out for a little bit, little roll call, 10 or 15 minutes, and then we're going to bring them in, and we'll spend some time with them. We'll talk to them. We'll get to know them, and have some fun with Brian Phillips and Megan from Brian Phillips RC. So what is happening new? Michael Honeychuck, Ryan Dalgarno, Dad, Mountain RC, Kelly Klein, Hubert, Joe Habib, Scotty's RC Aviation. This will be fun. And those of you who came because Brian promoted the show, welcome. If you're new here, that's awesome. We do a lot more than live stream, but we always live stream once a week for quite a while at this point. So we talk about RC airplanes and working them out. We talk to advanced pilots, beginner pilots, all kinds of pilots. And we tell folks how to spend their money and how to land their planes. Good times. Eric Tennant, Snow River. Who's Brian Phillips, says Snow River. Being cheeky, as is always the case. Philip Cockrum. Good to see everybody. And this should be a good one. I don't normally promote them. We just go live, and it is what it is. But Jordan, what's going on? Hope everything is well with you. I know you got a little one. It's probably not so little anymore. Charlie StoneX, what's up, man? Yeah, Jordan, it's been a minute. You were here you were quite the fixture for a while. So yeah, Eddie K, what's up? Yeah, so we're hanging out. And John, Jerry. Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, hanger rats. I mean, that's what's up. Francis, what's happening? Who's Ryan? Dude, Brian works it out on his, I mean, guys, he's flying everything at his place. Dude's got chops. Dude's got chops. And I know when he needs to know something, he just asks Megan, how to program it or whatever. Big Jim, what's going on? 2 little ones now. Congrats. New baby girl was just born a couple weeks ago. Very good. Congrats. Jeff and Laura, Alabama. Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, a little bit different than what we're used to. I mean, normally I will riff off the comments. It won't be the same this time because when you have a live guest, they definitely take not priority, but your attention. So if you want me to see your comments, you'll have to, do what you got to do to get my attention. So, and man, he's got a pond now. We're going to talk to him about everything. I think it's going to be great. So I'll send him an invitation here in a little while. We've only been on for 5.5 minutes. First time seeing the bamboo not running. Yeah, busy day with football, and then I went and ran some laps on the oval inside. What's up, Vaughn? Inside at the fun park, because they're going to try to kick off inside for wintertime, and I want to support that because I love racing there off road, but I wanted to check out the indoor oval track. Doing any more Tiger Cat video? I'd love to. I need to. I mean, I got that plane forever ago, and I got rid of it. I have gotten rid of so many things that I wish I still had. And space becomes an issue, and the mortgage, you know, becomes one as well. Yeah, Kelly, I wish I could have went trailing with you guys. Brian Chambers, thanks. That's how you ask a question like this. There you go. Thank you, man. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. And then, Truck Buddies catch up on the Thursday show. If you can check it out. It's going to be on the homepage of the YouTube channel in the lives. You can see Base Camp Build number 7, where we got the wheels on it, the axles, starting to figure out what body to put it on. So that's will really dominate. Thursday is all about that. And last week we started painting the cockpit for the T-28, and we painted the pilot, so that was fun. And this week I've been asking Brian for a while to do this, and we talk on the phone every now and then, and I mention it again. And like always, we're both like totally into it, and it just doesn't work out. And then they texted me today, like, "Are we on still?" Yeah, we are. So we did a test earlier today, and everything's gonna be just fine. Dylan, what's happening, dude? I was all messed up on the day for that grass race. I went yesterday, and I was a day early again. Like, I've been twice to Plymouth, which is a half hour away, on the wrong day. But to my credit, it originally was supposed to be on a Saturday. So I legit found a flyer promotion on Facebook that said the 12th. And so kind of wasn't wrong, but also a little bit. What's up, Charlie? Jackson RC, Tim Smith, Greener Shade. And now Kelly's back in town, so we may get him on for the Thursday show again. That was fun. His hands did an amazing job, so that was fantastic. So I am curious. Yeah, we have a lot of the same people. I mean, I haven't seen one new subscriber all day. Interesting. The grass race was today, but I messed up and went yesterday. You know what I mean? But that's okay. I hung out with Shane. I raced the grass thing, put a battery through it myself on my 8-scale low-C ready to run truggy, which has been flawless. No repairs, very good. And then I ran on the off-road track. And then today I ran at the fun park on the indoor oval, which is a new deal. And I was running 6.3 second, 6.4, 6.5 fairly consistently, which was great. Chabot, what up? Yeah. Amber Ring 77 says, "What's up, everybody?" Yeah, I have a feeling we'll see some new faces in here tonight. Evening from Pensacola, Florida, Ray Hicks. Nice to see you. Yeah, if you're new here, check out the rest of the channel. Subscribe if you like it. And you should. But whatever. Big Jim says, yeah, they didn't even, honestly, on the Instagram that they put out, they just said, go check out Ryan's channel. I think he's afraid to say Pilot Ryan Media out loud. You know what I mean? Kind of like the Ryan fly-in. You know what I mean? That's how it is with friend and foe. Just, yeah, I'll be on that guy Ryan's channel tonight. Yeah, we talked. I know they put it out on Instagram. I don't know what else. It's fine. Saw your first mid-air at the field today. That's cool. And yeah, once I bring them on, I will definitely not be able to really see the comments too much. But I would urge you, if you do have some questions, if they're corny though, I'm gonna pretend like I didn't see it. But like good ones, like we'll ask. I got tons of my own questions as well. So we're just gonna have a good time and what's the story on the trucks at Buddy RC? You know what? I just don't have an opinion yet. Mike SSI, what's up? I don't have an opinion on them. I don't know what brand it is, and I haven't run them personally, so I just would be remiss to say. I like Buddy RC though. Bumblehead Media wants to ask, what is the last plane everyone has flown? David, yourself, with the riddle that made everybody angry all week long. What is the damn answer? That's what I want to know. Brian's in the room. I'm getting ready to invite them right now. We were going to wait about 15 minutes to bring them on and let the room fill up. I am going to send the email invitation right meow. And I would have hoped. Yep. Autofill. Send it. So I'll know when they're ready. So they'll be showing up in the wings of the room here in a minute. And yeah, we'll get them on in a second. 70mm A10. Yeah, that was the question from what is the last plane everybody flew? And let's see. If I missed something, I apologize. Last flight Rick's World had was Antique GWS 0, P51D, Cirrus SR22. Okay, has everybody got their drinks? This may be the last you hear from me because Brian's a talker. I may be done. So, you know what I'm saying, B? I see him there in the wings. There they are. B, Brian and Megan. Lyndon said he flew his Draco, B1B, Avanti. Guys, Kristen Eagle, oh yeah, the last one you flew. So listen, don't get mad if I don't see your comments for a minute. You got to make sure I notice them. Ching, ching. And then, of course, when we're done with the interview portion, I'll be back to the regular scheduled programming. But now, without further ado, you ready? Give me a salute, B. All right, we're doing it. Let's go. Let's go. Here we go. Add them to the stage. Brian and Megan, let's do
YouTube. It's Brian Phillips.
Do your YouTube thing. Say your deal.
YouTube is Brian Phillips.
Awesome.
And Megan.
Yes.
Can everybody hear them okay? Talk a little bit, B.
I will talk a little bit now. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, I think it's great. I just had it turned way down. So,
okay, good.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for coming to the show. We got Brian and Megan here. If you don't know who Brian Phillips RC is, where have you been? I think if you're on my channel or this show, you 100% know and have gotten value from the content that they put out over Brian Phillips RC. How are you tonight?
We're doing good. We're good. We had some family pictures earlier. It was amazing. It was huge. It was one of the best family pictures that's ever happened.
Nice. And next year, I expect you to have the same opinion of your family picture taking.
I don't know. It's been like 10 years since we did it. So
is that right? We just did it again also. because we, you know, when they were really little, she was all about it. We did it every year.
Oh yeah.
And then we took
like the fourth one comes along, you're like, yeah, we have
it's old hat at that point. And then it's like we skipped a few years.
We just do it live now. It's like, yeah,
Just do it live.
See him over there.
Yep.
She wanted to do it before Junior has a mustache, you know, because he's 12. You know, these things are right around the corner.
Yeah,
Yep,
I know.
we're getting there.
Our kids are getting so tall, and it's like freaky because our oldest is almost taller than me, and it's kind of taking me off. I'm like, you cut it out, kid.
I know. Like I'm gonna go ahead and let us all still live under the guise of me being able to whoop him.
Yeah,
Right.
It's getting close.
We got your back on that.
Hey, Dan says hi from the other side of the Des Moines Metro.
Oh, hi, Dan. How are you? I have to look over here for the comments if you guys see me, and then I see the delay on the screen.
Yeah.
It's very weird. So,
yeah, and I don't see it all either. There is some bit of it. Dan Zimmerman. Oh yeah. I can pop. There it is.
oh,
Yeah.
hi. I see it down there.
Now.
That side.
So that's one of those guys that watches probably both of us because I see Dan all the time, and you guys probably do too. Everybody say hello to Brian and Megan in here.
Hi, people.
Yeah, we're rocking with 60 tonight, taking it easy. So, you know, we'll just start off with an audience question right away. What was the last plane you flew?
Oh, the last plane I flew was.
Can you say?
What was it? The Ultra
Yeah.
Micro? It was the Ultra.
The UMX. Slow Ultra Stick.
Slow Ultra Stick. Yeah.
Mine shows up finally like Tuesday.
Well, get ready to have your socks knocked off.
You know what? It is what it is, though. I mean, you can't expect it to feel like a 90 millimeter Viper.
Right. He's gonna go get it. It is what it is.
It is what it is. I'm excited about it. I remember the Ember, and I was.
What?
You know what? Let's now that you're comfortable, let's go ahead and
Zoomed.
You lose Megan. That's okay. We'll do this.
I can be close.
We have two chairs. The chairs are touching. We can't get any closer. It would be inappropriate.
No, but I'm. You know what? I talked to you about this the other day. I was like, I didn't get one, but I bought it right away because I remember the Ember. And the thing I like micros for is what something like that gives you. I want to be able to, because I love my Ultra Micro Timber Evolution, but it does need some airspace. It needs a little bit of room. It's just wing loading stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so something like that little guy, I thought might actually really serve the purpose for me of what I want out of one of these Ultra Micros. And so I got it. I got the bind and fly one. You can get it ready to fly. Mm-hmm. If you click the link in my description, it shows up way faster to your house than if you click
Lies. But yeah,
I got to give Dave Marshall credit for that one.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, but does that have safe?
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
And it's dual protocol. So you can use the SLT 6LP transmitter if you get it ready to fly, or you can use your NX10 or your IX20 or whatever. And the dual protocol is cool, but you know, a lot of people think it's stupid, but you got to remember the beginners having that controller for the, you know, for real flight is huge because muscle memory is all about it. You get that feel in your hand. And to be honest with you, I feel like that's one of the biggest values to people that are beginning. You got to remember, like, it's not a 90 millimeter you know, Avanti, you know, it's not going to be the same as a 90 millimeter Viper. It's going to be what it is, which is a beginner style. It's going to be very slow. You better not go out and fly it in the wind. It's going to be gone in the tree. But it's disappointments, no LEDs. Disappointments.
Yeah. I saw that. Is there a kit for it?
Yes. But you have to buy it. And I'm kind of like, I'd like to see that.
That would be cool. I think, you know, I play devil's advocate really well a lot. And of course, the answer from corporate, you know, usually is, you know, it's price point, right? It's like whatever they can do to bring it down. But I got to tell you, I'm super pumped. because I thought it was going to be a little more while longer before we saw them.
Right.
And so I'm glad that they're shipping. I know Wild Bill's probably waiting on his too. And mine, when I checked tracking last week, is scheduled to be here like Tuesday. So I bought batteries for it once I knew it was coming, and a pair of tires, and they showed up the next day and ahead of the plane, but that's okay. So yeah, so that was the last thing you flew.
That was the last thing I flew, because it's been like a hurricane here, and I say that, totally insensitively, because it hasn't been a hurricane here.
Right.
It's been really a hurricane other places, a lot of our followers. And ironically, I saw Jeff in Lower Alabama. We met him and actually got to fly with him out in Alabama. That was pretty cool. But he's from like here. He lives like a few miles away from.
He used to.
I mean, they don't now, but it's pretty cool to meet people that follow the channel, and that's pretty cool. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was super
Jeff
fun.
does good work too. Jeff puts out videos all the time, and he does a really cool show. It used to be on Thursdays. Now it's on Fridays, I think. I'm so bad. But he really showcases videos from all over the web, of folks doing RC things. Jeff from Lower Alabama. Yep, right there. Everybody loves Megan's camera work.
Did you guys see SpaceX catch a freaking rocket today?
Yeah.
That was kind of cool too.
Totally. Must have been
flying it. Nobody told you.
Must have been safe.
It's a high top secret. They're gonna fire me now, unfortunately.
Now, what camera, Megan, are you guys using?
It's a cell phone.
You're get what?
Yeah. That's all we've ever used.
Yep. And before that, it looked a little bit like this turd here, which is even older and crappier.
Hold on, wait for Ryan's heart attack to end.
You should know this, Ryan. You've seen it. Where did he go? Did he fall off camera? He left. I quit. We spent less on our camera equipment than the average Joe.
In the pond?
The pond was pretty expensive. Yeah, it was like our first house. But
golly, you're doing a cell phone, Megan?
Yeah, that's all we've ever done from the very beginning.
But it's always worked for us, because the thing is, she has to hold that thing for like hours.
Yes.
I mean, hours. It's painful. The gallons of toilet wine that have been made while watching Brian Phillips RC, it's just incalculable.
There's wicked stabilization on phones, though, a lot of times. Is that an iPhone or a Samsung or what?
It's a Samsung Galaxy S21 is what we're currently using.
Yeah, we don't even have the current year.
No, we're like 3 years behind.
3 years late. Mine's an S9. It's really old.
Okay. That's all the inspiration we need. See you later. It's been great.
All right, bye.
That's awesome. And she does do an amazing job. I really thought it was going to be some camcorder thing or whatever, Sony. I have overkill. My camera is...
It's huge.
Yeah, you have a massive camera.
You've seen it.
It's kind of large. Where did he go? We lost him again.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, we've seen it. It's huge. It's pretty awesome. You've got that mic. You've got that boom mic, which is awesome too.
Yeah, I've got it's off now because I just came back from football, but the fuzzy deal is usually
for the wind.
there.
Yeah, it was like 4 million miles an hour wind today. We were having family photos. It was awesome. The guy's like, "Hey, throw these leaves." And we're like, what are you talking about? It's like 40 mile an hour wind. They're going to be like gone in 1 second. He claims he got a picture of it. I don't know. We'll share it. I'm sure it'll be awesome.
So no gimbal, nothing with the phone, just straight up.
We had a gimbal once from China. China sent it. They said it was the best. It turned out to be so good. We used it once.
I have a handle that I put my phone on so that I can clip
you want me to get it? I'll get it.
No.
Yes.
So I can clip our Rode wireless mic transmitter to it. But that's it. No gimbal. I literally hold it. If I throw it on the floor, I literally hold it like this and film for 3 hours.
You do so good. So you guys are using a Rode mic, like lapel style?
Yes. Yep. We have the Rode clip-on mics.
Yeah.
But
you guys don't have this.
You have to make your own nerdy pocket
breast
protector.
Pocket. Look at that. The best pocket. Watch this. Boom. Right there. Right in the breast pocket.
So with that, the visor,
Listen, I don't
do.
care what people think. I am a nerd. I am proud of it. I don't care.
All you got to do now is tuck your shirt into your shorts. That's it.
I can do that, and I'll pull the socks up too.
There you go.
I'll do it for the next video.
And wear Crocs.
It was your fault.
Yes.
You got to wear socks past the knee and Crocs.
Yes, that's right. With Crocs, good idea. I got to get the Crocs
no,
in
then
there.
people think you're trying to be cool.
Yeah, that's true. Like it's in style again, Ryan. Be careful. We're old.
I know. That's where I got it. You know, I would have thought it was really not cool, but it's like apparent. It's not cool if we do it.
No.
But like
we'll take it out of style, like right now.
The 12-year-old looks like a mailman who's off for the weekend, and apparently it's the hippest stuff out there.
Oh yeah.
Who would have known? Got to have stripes at the top, says Brian Chambers. So, Megan, do you ever get to fly this stuff?
I can fly, not very much.
She flew the slow ultra stick, didn't you?
No, I didn't fly the slow ultra stick. Actually, I've flown the bigger slow
the bigger slow ultra
not
stick.
the OMAX.
Cool.
I don't like to fly on camera. It makes me nervous.
She has a really hard time with like when you turn around and you're coming back towards yourself, because she's not made the connection where the brain just says, this is what's happening. And you think about where you want to go, which is crazy. You try to explain it to people.
You got to watch some of that Pilot Ryan Media guy video.
Yeah, I heard he's good.
They're cringy, but there's lessons from way back. I think in your spot, it would be trickier to kind of, what I tell new folks always is don't get over your head or behind you. Just keep it in front.
Yep. And that's what everybody that's brand new does. They fly in a circle right above their head and they have to turn around physically. And I'm like, guys, just go in front of yourself.
Because the left turn from the pilot's perspective is always a left turn, but when it's coming at you, it presents to the right. And that's weird. So if you keep it in front of you, it seems to help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, like, when you fly a heli, you keep that boom stuck right at you, and it really helps. And to be honest, I used to fly helis without safe, and all I could do was straight up about 4 feet tall and then back to the ground. And I was like, thank God it survived. And it didn't survive every time, and it ruined the entire experience. And it was like my first CP1. It was an early Blade product, and it was before we had the channel. And I flew it in the basement. I crashed it into my wife's cabinets with the balsa. It had like the ultra coat covering on the blades, and it blew like a hole in one of our oak doors.
Yeah.
And that was when I lost permission to fly helicopters in my kitchen. So then I had to go down to the basement, and in the basement, it was just less cool. And then I got solid plastic blades. Really good idea, guys. Not dangerous at all. But nowadays, it is like night and day. You can get a safe, equipped helicopter. You can take off. You can fly around. You can, go in a figure eight. And I'm not talking about the GPS heli drones that fly themselves. I'm talking about just the being able to let go of the sticks. Huge.
Yeah.
So same with airplanes.
So with drones and helis, the limited experience I have with them, I always really had to keep that orientation to feel like any kind of confidence. I didn't mess around with them enough to really get comfortable. And especially with a drone, like they really look identical no matter which way they're facing you.
Yeah. You got to have a distinction between front and back.
You get the boom. Right? You get the boom with the heli. Mm-hmm. They just released, you probably did a video on the new heli, didn't you?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we did that'd be the Revo 90 FP or the Revolution 90 FP for fixed pitch. And it's got it's basically a really beginner style. I mean, they kept the price point low. I think that's one of those transmitters that isn't dual protocol, but it's an SLT protocol.
Yes.
Which is fine. It's maybe not quite as awesome because you can't then bind to your programmable transmitter, but you can still use it with your computer, which to me, we're all about, people that are returning to the hobby, that go to the hobby store, they're not getting the help they need. And, we want to bring people up to speed, which is what we try to do. And then people, of course, that are brand new to the hobby, want to bring them into the fold, because the truth is, this is a very deep and broad hobby. I mean, you could spend a lifetime in this hobby, but most people have a hiatus, when the kids are little, or, maybe you've got an injury, or you move to a place where you don't have a good flight field. that's exactly what we do is we want to teach people how to get back to it. Because when I got back into the flying, that was what I needed. I just needed some help. And my grandpa had given me a bunch of stuff from his basement when they downsized. And I was like, I don't know what to do with any of this stuff. And the thing is, it was really, it sat for like a couple of years actually. And it is, you know, hindsight's 2020, but I lost a couple of years. I could have been hanging out with my grandpa before he died. And that's something to keep in mind, guys. If you've got grandparents that are into this, take advantage of the time, because we spent a good 3 years, my grandpa and I. He would build them. I would sit down with him at Hobby King and we would order all the electronics. I would go and like find another person that did it, see if I could copy them, get the electronics sized, and then we would order everything. And it was nice because it gave us a chance to sit together and spend time together. My grandma, of course, enjoyed it because we were connecting. You know, I don't have a lot of regrets about that period of time, other than the fact that I crashed one of his SIG Duringer 216s. I had the ailerons flipped and I flipped into a curb and it was like, boom. And so he rebuilt the thing and we flew it and it flew pretty good. In fact, I still have that plane.
And you know what? He was just glad to be with you, you know.
It was an awesome experience. And if you guys have it, do it. Don't wait, because remember, your truck's right around the corner. It's coming for you.
Definitely. So your first taste of RC was when? With him back in the day?
No. And my grandpa had, I think he thought it was with him. And there may have been some experiences, no doubt, with my grandparents, with my dad. My dad had like a SIG Eaglet, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it was a gasser. And I remember he shut off his Futaba transmitter mid-flight, crashed into a cornfield, million pieces, complete rebuild. I'm talking, there was like little fragments like this big. And I remember learning a very frank lesson, because he had this plug that he would put in behind the power cord. This is what, I mean, the power slider. And so that was an early memory. And I used to remember being scared to death. My dad was going to chop his finger off every time he'd started. So we got one of those electric started.
Yeah.
And huge improvement in lifestyle. I was less scared. But I never flew because that was Dad's plane. And I don't blame him at all. Now knowing what I know, it was very hard. Of course, my dad doesn't fly near as much. He's a full-scale pilot, but not by trade. He's retired now. And so that's where you see some of the photography that's on our channel, is when we were in a Mooney together. And actually, I think that day my son was like flying with us, and his whole memory of it was like the Laffy Taffy was awesome, because I gave him Laffy Taffy for popping ears.
Slept through the whole thing.
So, but no, as a kid, I had a model train set. I was very lucky. We had this like weird long room that my dad had, you know, kind of expended into the attic of our 2.5-story house that we lived in. And so I had a 6x8 or 8x4 sheet of plywood that would fold down, and there was a train track on there. That's how big of a nerd I was. And then there was like, you know, I had like a TV and I set up like surround sound and all this stuff. And I got into wiring and electronics and all this crap. And I would do all sorts of like little projects like that. Always. I was always doing it. Cars. I had an RC10. Okay. So kind of a long backstory, but when my mom died, she died of breast cancer when I was 10. And my brother and I are about 18 months apart. And so we went through that. That sucked. It was terrible. But at the same time, it kind of gave my dad this like, I don't know, this like infusion of responsibility. And one of those responsibilities, I think it was like, how do I make my kids like happy when their mom just died? And one of the things I think he did was he took us to the hobby shop and like just spent money on us on things that we shouldn't have had. Yeah, it was probably more expensive than we should have been getting at the time. And it was an amazing experience. I'm telling you, you want to trick your kids that just had a mother die, go buy RC stuff. It works every time it's tried. And I remember he got us like BB guns that year. We got like Daisy 880. My mom would have killed him for that, but she was dead, so it didn't work. So we still got the 880s. It was still awesome. Wonderful experience of getting into the hobby. And so my brother had an RC10T. I had an RC10. Of course, you had to build them back then. You remember that, Ryan?
Yeah.
And that was one of my first like real hobby grade experiences. And I remember upgrading the servo controller so you could go reverse, and you had that sweepy thing on there, and then the transmission you had to build, and of course the oil filled shocks and all that stuff. So people look at our channel, they're like, oh, he's just an airplane guy. Well, no, I mean, I started on the ground just like everybody else. And we had a couple of really terrible airplanes growing up that my My parents would get like this one was called like the Bumblebee or something, just a terrible thing, total piece of crap. I also had a helicopter that I never finished. And it was an Apache that was branded from a guy who made a rotorless helicopter that flew with a landing gear skid, would collapse and shut the motor off. And the guy has a channel on YouTube, and I'm trying to think, it was like Night Flyer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
Yeah, he designed that for Kyosho, something like that. He designed the one that was, and then of course they adapted the Apache body onto it. It was just kind of like that body you would get for an RC-10. I had that in my closet for many years, never had the balls to fly it. And I kind of wish I would have, because it was supposed to be a relatively easy to fly aircraft. But again, I was a kid and I had an RC-10. I had lots of like, you know, Target race cars and, you know, Walmart race cars, non-hobby stuff.
That kind of stuff almost gets you out of it.
Yeah, well, but then later when my grandpa and I were sharing the experience, it was because he was doing some stick-built models. And I actually, it's kind of weird. My aunt's dad helped me to build a couple stick-builts. And I have like an F-14 and an F-5 up on the wall in my kids' room. And it's, you know, like Top Gun style. And it's just, I built that myself when I was like a 14-year-old kid. I mean, that's what all 14-year-olds do, right? Yeah. So, and then I let my neighbor stupidly try to fly it. And so he broke it immediately. So of course we stopped flying it. And this is all before the YouTube experience. But I've been doing airplanes for my whole life. Always been into aviation, but not always been as progressively into aviation to the extent that, you know, like when my dad was flying, that it was just like through proxy. But then now, like working on, you know, like the PPG experience, like I actually do fly PPG, but I've only flown 10 flights. I need more practice. I sprained my ankles landing the last time, both of them, not just one, but both. So that was kind of not so much a wake-up call as much of a remember you're human. You can die. You can be injured. I got 4 kids. I don't want to die. So, and then now we're getting ready to break ground on a pad for our hangar. That's going to be, when I say hangar, I use that terminology loosely, but it's going to be a 60 by 100 building. So it's going to be crazy. You're going to have to come see it. But the thing is, our excavator's a week behind. So we start not next week, or on Monday, he'll be the following week.
All construction projects.
Everything gets delayed.
Behind.
So, but that brings you up to current, and you guys have seen the rest if you watch Brian Phillips RC. And obviously, I started watching Pilot Ryan and Captain Mike.
That's what I was going to ask. Was it a seamless transition into YouTube, or was there a break? Like, you know, like you went to college, like where was Megan during some of this?
Megan and I had been married for about 10 years when we started, roughly. And we had 2 kids, right?
Well, 3 technically when we started the channel.
Yeah, but the third one, were you pregnant with the third one?
Yeah.
Or, okay. So anyway, and forgive the ambiguity. We try not to make it too easy for the crazy people. But yeah, our third kid, she was teaching at the time. She was still working. So it was a very different experience. And at the time I was watching I was watching Stuart from Hobby King, and I was watching, I think Rich. I was watching Rich quite a bit. Which is it, Baker or Barker?
Baker.
Yeah.
Rich Baker. I was watching, but I was watching you and Captain Mike was one of my favorites because you guys were doing the motion stuff, and I wasn't even into it. And to be honest, at that same time, I was just kind of getting an opportunity. I used to play Frisbee golf a lot, and my cousin rudely moved into, because he wanted to like be with his wife when she, you know, lived in Missouri.
Shame.
And so he just abandoned me. And so when that happened, you know, what do we do when it's calm? Well, we fly airplanes. Well, I mean, generically speaking, I mean, of course it's, you know, windstorm, you're not going to go out and fly, but if it's a little bit of wind, some people fly. Well, I used to always play Frisbee golf when it was calm. And so my playing partner predominantly was my cousin. Well, he moved, and that gave this void in my life because I said, oh, I'm going to keep it up. Except I really kind of didn't. I needed something.
Yeah.
Airplane started.
You weren't really flying RC and stuff when we first got married.
We couldn't afford it.
Yeah, he was into aviation, and I knew that was something that he always enjoyed.
But it was always like
RC
out there.
Didn't really happen until about 10 years ago.
We had limited access to like drones and SEMAs and you know, like the coaxial helicopters, stuff like that. It's real fun stuff, but not game changer hobby grade style stuff. And you know, the first couple of years of doing a YouTube channel where you're paying for everything, and it's extremely expensive, and I feel terrible about it. You know, it's like this addiction. I got to keep it up, and we did that for many years, and I loved it, and it was awesome, and I would have been fine continuing that, but I was the type of guy that would show up at the hobby shop, and I'd be like talking people into buying airplanes, and I'm like, well, so I just love this stuff. I mean, I've been doing it. I mean, it's just what I do.
We never set out to have a channel. It was more of a, I don't know, storage. I just started filming.
Water. That is water.
I started filming Brian when he started flying because he wanted to kind of go through and watch what he was doing, you know, and so he would kind of narrate his own flying. And I would just film him. I had no idea what we were getting ourselves into.
Yeah, we really didn't.
Literally ran out of memory on his cell phone.
Yeah.
So we're like, well, we'll put him on YouTube and let YouTube store him.
And I was like, you know, we just did that and it worked. And the crazy thing is we did that for a long time. And you know how it was like when you started and you're just like barely getting traction. You don't have anybody following. You got maybe a couple thousand if you're lucky. And then all of a sudden you have that one trigger, that one glimmer of hope. Well, we had one video that went viral, which helped to project us onto the stage of Class Z celebrity status, which was
and the best part, the best channels to me start from, I mean, a genuine desire to just share it. I think if you go in with expectations, you're
like I want to sell stuff.
None of this commission stuff was a thing back then for either one of us starting. You know, the hope, it was just to share it out. Because
we never knew it existed. To be honest with you, it's kind of funny because like sailors are our biggest competitors, right? You know, which is funny because I talked to Nate and Abby, and it's hilarious because I didn't know they existed until we were like 50, 60,000 subscribers. And I'm like, who are these people? Which is hilarious because we do a lot of the same stuff. And like, admittedly, like I didn't even know they existed. I felt kind of bad because, you know, a lot of our audience was interested in them. And you know how it is. It's like, we're always like, I'm always trying to hold Ryan down, obviously. Whatever I can do to smack that guy down.
Yeah. Just like your promotion for tonight. It goes,
we really went crazy on that.
The Ryan guy's channel, whatever.
I tagged you.
She tagged you, and I saw
on Instagram.
I got to tell you something. She did on Instagram, Facebook,
it's fine.
Patreon. Oh, it was all over. I mean, we had
all over the internet.
We had sign spinners outside of Hellsberg Diamond. It was at the mall.
But yeah, you know, to rein it in, you know, the best channels are ones that are started from the heart, is what it boils down to. Somebody has the desire to share, and then it turns into what it turns into.
Yeah.
I had experience with the magazine side of it beforehand, and I was working for models. I wanted models. I wanted to fly them all. I couldn't afford to buy them all. How am I going to do this? And also, it just by accident, it worked out with Captain Mike and I. He wanted to do the camera, and he told me I was good at talking. I didn't know. And so I was like, okay. And because of the magazine stuff, I knew what it was like to every few months get like a project. And so I thought, you know, YouTube, I think maybe those people, the same companies that sell and market this stuff, may see the same kind of value in what we're doing on YouTube as they do with the magazine. And maybe we can get more of it. But it really just, it was really, our stuff was started on the lessons. It was really just wanting people to be successful and just capture what we were doing, which was working for us. And apparently we both would talk through it. And we had taught a lot of people locally how to do it. And so it just kind of, it gets a life of its own, and you just like either hang on or you don't. And you guys did the same thing.
Well,
I can remember my viral moment.
I remember before he you know, moved on, I always enjoyed the chemistry. I thought it was good. You guys really fed off of each other's energy. And so that was entertaining. And so I know sometimes Megan and I feed off of each other's energy, and sometimes it's not so good because we've been married for a while. And we're old and stubborn, both of us, but mostly me. And it was my fault. I'm sorry.
Hey, Dan says the Des Moines Model Airs are having their annual auction on Saturday in Ankeny if Brian needs to get rid of planes.
Oh.
Yes, Dan.
Yes. Hit us up.
I do need to get rid of some of Brian's
We're
planes.
finishing our basement so we can make quarters for people that are visiting in full scale capacity. And it's not meant to be like an announcement or anything, but we've had a number of different people come through and we want to be able to provide quarters. So right now we're in the process of doing that. And we are realizing we do not have a room. You were talking earlier. I heard you before you brought us in the room. I was watching that intro and everything. And the real estate thing is a real thing. When you do this, guys, like, I don't know if you see this. This is a pile. It goes floor to ceiling, and that's just one room. And by the way, we're kind of like in a gap right now because you may have noticed there's not been a lot of new releases lately. Have you noticed that too, Ryan? It's kind of weird.
Time of year, gearing up for Q4 just started really.
Yeah.
And what I'm getting at is every time we build a plane, we keep it ready so we can do, second thoughts or revisit whatever we end up doing. And one of the challenges we have is, we have a pretty decent sized house. We have a family of 6 and we're in the country, but we don't have enough room for all this stuff. And I love it. And sometimes I touch them for 2 flights, 3 flights, and then they go straight to storage to wait for a calm day or when we're not in the middle of like a hot project. And sometimes that never happens. So it's like I go downstairs, I joke with people, I say, then I see them all staring at me like, why have you left me? Do you not love me, Brian? Yeah. This is what these airplanes say to me. It's very weird. I have airplanes talking to me. Maybe I should get some help.
Yeah.
I've gotten rid of so much stuff that I wished I still had, but didn't have the space to keep.
Right.
It's a real problem. And I saw a comment earlier about like free planes.
There's no such thing as a free plane, guys. And I don't care.
It's a lot of time.
Maybe at the beginning. It's nice at the beginning. Give it about 8 or 9 years and let me know how you feel.
That's why I say what I say about where you start from and what your expectations are from the get-go. Because if they were always, commissions or
from the beginning
or whatever, you're going to burn out real easy. But like if you're just genuine, it's easy to keep it up. Yeah, it's easy to keep it up for a long time.
Because our love for it is real. It doesn't, it's not, and I say that for me and Ryan, not necessarily for Megan, but Megan tolerates this as part of the package deal, and Ryan, your wife loves it too, right?
No one has ever seen her. Ever.
I was just gonna say, it's so weird. Get her in here.
Nobody usually sees me either, so
it will not happen. It will not happen. And
really,
and that's her. If she was into it, I've told this story before. Some guys will remember it. When I first, I wanted to do YouTube a long time ago, and so before I moved to South Bend, I did some videos. And it's actually on my wife's name channel on YouTube or something. And I did a couple of videos. It was GWS stuff. And I'd be up for 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and she'd be like ready for me to land it. And I'm just and I didn't know what a timer was yet. And so I'm like, dude, there's still battery left. Like, what?
Usually we fly until they die and catch on fire. Don't you know? Have you seen a Brian Phillips RC video?
There was no runway, so it was cool. Once the battery died, you just pointed the nose and let it go. And me and Dad puffed a lot of batteries doing that. But
that was really
I knew she wasn't it for the RC because she just
I didn't know that's all I had to do.
Yeah. Could you wrap this up, Brian?
Yeah.
I couldn't do an intro.
If I were able to do it, we're in our 3rd house in 12 years or something. And every one of them, I wanted to be able to fly from the property. So I secretly hate your guts.
Yes. You can come fly from my property if you want.
Not you. I want to fly from my property.
Oh, is that how that works?
Yeah.
We flew from our property before it was illegal. And that's the thing. People used to give us crap about flying at our old property. It may have been unethical to the the powers that be in the community of flying, but it was not illegal when we started. And we had a good relationship with our neighborhood because the developer was basically trying to sue the neighbors, and he did. And he came in and he ended up going to jail. Oh yeah, booyah. And I was one of the guys that helped to get our community conglomerated and fight the battle because I was more obnoxious than some of the other guys.
Imagine that.
So hard to believe. But that's how we got in good graces with most of the neighbors. There was one neighbor I may or may not have crashed a Learjet 550 or whatever it is. There was a Dynam. It was a super high quality Dynam turbojet. Oh yeah, I crashed that into a fence next to her house. She didn't notice. I crashed into a lot of neighbors' houses. Everybody was totally cool about it. I'm serious. I literally crashed into my neighbor's house with the Apprentice 1.5, flipped over upside down. Boom! He walks out. We talked for an hour and a half. I mean, that's just the way it was. If you didn't get along with your neighbors, you'd been crazy. You'd get shot doing that.
Yeah.
So for us, it was like, hey, we just relationship first, ask favor second. Favor means, hey, can I get on your roof?
Right.
Yeah.
It's happened a lot.
Yeah. But
I tried to teach my neighbor how to fly. Funny story. I'm sorry. I got to tell you this. So he comes out. His name's Dan. Okay. He's not my neighbor anymore. Dan, I'm sorry if they connect the dots or whatever. They were going to find you anyway. So Dan was flying along. Sport car, the S, UMX. I talked him into it. Best plane, amazing beginner plane. At the time, it was probably the only one you could really start with. And anyway, he's flying along. His wife pulls in the driveway, okay? And he thought, well, I'm going to stop and talk to my wife while he's flying. And I'm like, no, you don't stop flying because your wife came home. You got to give me that controller. So we walked for a freaking mile, and it went into the lockout. Disconnect, and it's going a mile away. And guess what? We found it.
It landed probably too.
It was perfect on grass, waist high, in the back of a very unique and probably not worth losing your life for backyard. So Dan lived, and the plane lived. I couldn't believe it. So yeah, note to self, trainees. When your wife comes home, just say, hey, how's it going? And keep flying.
I'll talk to you in a minute. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. Short time's over. Go ahead.
That's wild. I don't remember where we were at this point at all. It's okay.
Tell us about the first crash.
My first crash?
Yeah. I want to hear about it. Tell us, right?
Dude, I mean, when I started flying, it was Dad's fault. He bought a Art Tech Wing Dragon from Banana Hobbies, and I saw it, and because the last time I had looked at planes, I was a kid and I saw them in a hobby shop, and the picture on the box looked amazing, and then you open up the box and it's a bunch of sticks and a roll of covering. I'm like, forget about it. So I didn't know these things existed. It was electric. I'm like, wow. So I go to Banana Hobby and I find a Quan Lee P47, 90% pre-assembled, perfect for beginner. I'm like, that's me. $85 or something stupid for the whole package.
Yeah, but this is back in like 1943, so it was actually more like $1 million.
It's more closer to 2008, but yeah.
But it was more. It was more because like $85 now, it'd be like $458 now.
But it was junk.
Yeah,
it never went
perfect for a beginner. Perfect beginner plane. That's what all the Chinese tell you.
I didn't listen to anybody who said to get a high wing trainer.
Yeah,
I thought I knew what I was doing because I grew up around the real airplanes a little bit. And so instead of getting a high wing thing like my dad, I went for what I wanted, what my heart wanted, and I got a P47, and it didn't ever work out. But my dad and I were going out at the same time, so I'd crash mine on the hand launch, left-handed suplex every time, And but Dad would be there with this ugly stick looking Art Tech wing dragon, high wing pusher prop thing, very much Aero Scout-esque.
Yeah. Except made with like sticks.
It was a like some kind of, I wouldn't say carbon fiber, the fiberglass tail boom, and then like a plastic like ABS 2-liter bottle pod, thing.
And looked like a helicopter with wings.
Yeah.
It was ugly. It's thin.
It was awesome though. We both
and you knew how to fly it, right?
Yeah. So that's where I really got my first stick time, was on his stuff. And then I just crashed that P-47 over and over. I didn't know anything. And when I was putting it together, I'd been working on houses forever. And so now I'm putting together this little tiny airplane, and the screws are like this big. I'm like, what am I doing? And then I'm like, well, the throw doesn't look like it's enough. So I did it to increase mechanical throw, and it didn't need that much throw. I didn't know what I was doing. And my logic was like, well, man, I was thinking about CG, and I'm like, well, the pilot is like, 180 pounds, whatever. So the battery should be where the pilot was. No, it shouldn't. On a model, it needs to be up in the front. So I had a lot going against me. It was a piece of garbage. The ailerons didn't return to neutral.
Well, that's nice.
I set way too much throw on it. It was brushed with a gearbox, and I put the battery under the dude's butt.
So you made every mistake.
Every mistake. So not only was it the left-handed suplex, but it was a very quick one every time, because it did have enough torque to go head on with it. And it did every time. And then I did stick with that airframe though. And I learned on a slow stick, and I got some stick time on Dad's. I built some GWS planes that were better. And then I ended up on another one of those P-47s. And on that one, by then I knew what I was doing. I gave it individual aileron servos instead of one servo and a guitar string that wouldn't go back to neutral. I put brushless on it, individual servos. I stole the spar from a slow stick and embedded it in the wing and turned it into, this thing flew so fast that the wing would flutter. So I had to slow it down, and I had it over propped.
But then it would probably stall.
Bro, it would go, I could fly 20 minutes on a 2200.
Wow.
It was crazy. Stupid. Yeah. Absolutely.
But see, that's the thing, is that's like one of our biggest missions, is like every Chinese company is like, oh, hey, buy this, perfect for beginner. We tell truth.
Well, that's why we always say buy an ugly plane. Your first plane should be an ugly plane, because that's how you learn to fly.
Yeah.
And I went on romance.
Pretty, it's like, I don't know, there's something not quite good about this.
And I should have listened. I mean, and once like most of us get it now, where, listen, those hot rods of the sky, they were nimble. These fighter planes, they were made to be nimble. A Cessna might be boring, but it will fly well for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, are you going to Bigfoot? Big Jim wants to know.
Bigfoot?
No,
we're not going this year. I'm out of vacation time, and the construction is definitely not going to let us leave. Although, to be honest with you, I'm just nervous about Null for next year, because if we're seriously building this huge building, it might be during Null. And we've kind of found that Null is a good fit for us, because a lot of our audience goes, and we really do love to meet our audience.
Yeah, so fun.
It's actually really encouraging for us as influencers, because you deal with the grind of it is hard to explain to people that don't do it. So like, you get it. But like, when you get to meet people in person and you see those people that you've seen for a couple of years in a row, it really just encourages you in a way that, like, a couple bucks from the sale of an airplane just doesn't do the same thing. Right.
I remember me and Captain Mike got invited. This was and I'm going to ask you too in a minute. And you and I met for the first time at Horizon Fest, but
Yeah.
When it really hit me, because you can exist on YouTube, and it's not, it is great to get out there and meet the folks, even though we get to connect all the time online.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing like being out there for real, because it just cements themose connections, right?
Yeah,
There's
they're very real.
You know, from YouTube that you've met in real life that you'll never forget now.
Oh yeah.
But like, me and Captain Mike were working at Motion. We got invited to go do a fundraiser for the Gary Sinise Snowball Express Foundation at a Dallas RC air show. And they put together a whole video. They invited Captain Mike and Paul Ryan, Motion, to this thing. And it was the first time anything like that had happened. And we went. And it was an expense pay, of course, expense paid situation. And we went, but it was the first time that that happened. And it gives you a way different perspective, where it's like, wow, it really is real people watching this stuff. And
yeah,
we are reaching people, and it's easy for the viewers, I think, people thought I owned that place. I was so all in about the videos and the planes, and people thought me and Mike, like some folks thought me and Mike were part of that business, But the truth was, we worked really remotely on our own island in a completely different town. I ran all the media. We did all that stuff from here, and only had contact when really necessary. So we weren't aware of the impact that we were making, I think, until really that invite. And we started going to shows and getting to meet people for real. So it wasn't right away. When was the first time you got away to, out of your own, you beat down your path that you live every day, you make your content the way you make it? What was the first show you went to, the first time that kind of hit you guys?
Well, I think, was it Null, or was it because we were planning to go to Bigfoot, and Bigfoot, of course, but was that the year that we did Null for the first time?
The first time we went to Null, which was 2 years ago, was really the first time we were out in an RC environment.
Yeah.
With other people.
You mean with Joe Null?
Yeah,
Joe Null. And it just happens to be huge. So because it was huge, we met a lot of different people. And interestingly enough, we met some connections there. That's right. That's where we met Brad.
Yep.
And we met Brad. What's his channel?
Pay It Forward.
Pay It Forward. So we met Brad there, and then he introduced us to a few others. And he's probably on here. I
haven't seen him.
I haven't seen him yet.
Yeah.
He's been super busy. He just popped in my messenger or something. Somewhere he popped in the other day, because he used to be quite the fixture, but he's been really busy with some live stuff. But he's still around, you know.
They're in North Carolina too.
And that's what I'm kind of wondering about. And when we met him, we got connected with a couple other people that made connections with a couple other people. And the next thing you know, which is kind of funny, because you would think like the World Wide Web, everybody is seeing this stuff, but it's not real until it's real. And that's the thing is, there's a lot of people, and you get this too, I'm sure, Ryan. I mean, you're pretty forthright type of guy, and I don't think people challenge your authenticity, and I'm a pretty straightforward type of guy. I would hope that people don't challenge our authenticity, but there are people that challenge our authenticity. They just think we're just trying to sell something. Of course we are. I mean, we want to make money just like everybody else. We got to pay bills just like everybody else, and we want to.
Why is it okay for a plumber to charge you, but like an artist or a creator has to pretend they're not?
Exactly. But all that being understood, like, you're a genuine guy, you're very forthright with your audience, and we try to be too. And of course, so we met these people, and like I said, it's not real until it's real. Well, it's real when you meet people, and a lot of times you'll meet people and they're like, wow, like, hey, you're exactly as annoying as you are on camera.
It's so fun though. It really, something about the YouTube for me, it was easy to keep it all at arm's length. It's hard to believe it, and people would say like, "What? There's no way you're shy." Well, who knows what makes everybody tick, but like I easily am very good at minding my own business. So the fact that I've done all this content and folks have enjoyed it, watched it, learned something, whatever. And I was at this swap meet yesterday, and man, I mean, a ton of folks already know me. And that's great, because if it was just up to me, it'd be pretty low key. So it forces me to get like out of my shell, and there's a lot to give, I mean, we've forgotten more than some folks will maybe ever acquire, and just because of the amount of things we've gotten to fly and play with.
Yes,
the experience really is vast.
It's incredible. And I was thinking about that the other day too. Yeah, it's like we've touched so many of these aircraft, and I know that's one of the draws at the beginning, because it's like I want to fly as many planes as I can fly.
I told my dad, I said I want to fly them all.
Yeah, if I could, I would. But
they're all different. Like, the character of them.
Yep.
I love the nuance of how to handle the different ones. It's how, people always talk like, why does a guy need so many planes? Why does a lady need so many shoes? Listen, they all feel different. They all wear different. And there's one for every occasion.
Let's see your shoes.
And yeah, artists, like, what's funny about it, I wonder, because we're creators, regardless of how you think of yourself. Like, you are creating. You can call it art, you can call it a video, you can call it content, but you're creating. And generally that is artistic endeavor, even if it's not defined as such. And if it's getting viewed by people, then you're obviously doing a good job. And I think you, contrary to what YouTube would tell you, I love how you're winning. You're putting out long videos that YouTube would say,
don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah. If you watch any YouTube gurus, they would say, don't do it. Yeah. But it's obvious that there's a value proposition there and a hole there that you're filling the void for by providing that extra, how to come up alongside and set up the radio, I mean,
start to finish, man.
Experience. It's working for you. Congratulations, man. I'm so glad for you guys.
Well, we appreciate you too, Ryan, because, and I say that you were one of the guys that I was watching right at the beginning. And I'm trying to lay it at your feet like it's all your fault. But the thing is, like, I mean, seriously, we all build on each other. And so it's been really a positive, productive, and mutually beneficial relationship. And that's what I try to do is when we go out and we work with people in RC, it's kind of a small world once you get into the side where you're like behind the scenes a little bit, which is so weird because like I wouldn't have known I would have been in this position 10 years ago. Although 10 years we just started, 12 years ago, 13 years ago. And I would have said, you're crazy. No. But at the end of the day, God puts us where we are and we choose to, obey or disobey. And in this case, like we just have said yes a lot of times to a lot of like really weird opportunities. And I mean, when you start getting your first e-bike, man, just get ready.
How do you do that? Because I always ignore the random stuff. Like I've gotten approached to do that.
What about the bidets? Do you do any bidets?
I would do an e-bike before I do
bidets.
That,
what about bidets
for me? No.
We get them all the time.
You know what? Back to the show, just to stay on that, like we met at RC Fest and it was awesome. We were hanging out with me, you,
and Nate's tent. We were in Nate's tent. It was awesome.
The sailors.
Megan was watching their kids. It was like It was awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Well, the baby couldn't let go of my beard, was all about it. And people came up to us all day, and that was so fun. But that was the first time I met you. I think you snuck up on me.
I took a picture of you from a distance.
The long jump.
Yeah. You and I were out filming, and I recognized you.
Yep. We were out there, Aeroscout training area.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the pilot? Pilot number 2, not Gary, but Sean was there. Sean was flying with my wife, and I said, "This is inappropriate." but then I looked out and I saw you, and I was like, "Hey, look at that guy! He's got chicken legs." And I texted you a picture of yourself, like a big stalker would.
So we obviously had spoken then before that.
Yes.
Yeah, and probably about YouTube stuff.
Oh yeah,
because we talk at least. I bet we talk at least a couple times a month.
Yeah, roughly. I would say, and during that time, it might have been even a little bit more. And it's just it's kind of weird. I think everybody assumes that we're like at each other's throats all the time. And obviously, I want to get the business that you want to get, and vice versa. But at the end of the day, I mean, we really do care about each other because we're in a unique circumstance, and you have a good understanding of that unique circumstance that others don't. And kind of same thing with Sailors, same thing with Petronic Brothers, and same thing with, Chris Wolf and the other guys that have been in similar circumstances. We have relationships with them, and it's really cool to have these real relationships with people that are in RC, because RC it's a small world. And there's we say this all the time, and I think people misunderstand. Like, there's a lot of easy ways to make money in this world, and this ain't it. Is like the worst one you can do.
This ain't it. This is a love deal. Yeah.
It's you got to love it, or why would you do it? In fact, I mean, I know for a fact a lot of the companies that do airplanes only do them because they love it. And as soon as it's more expensive, I'm not talking about money. As soon as it's more expensive in their lives, they're just gonna cut it out and throw it in the garbage can. They're gonna make cars. Not that there's any more cars. Look at all the cars behind you. But what I'm saying is, it's a regulated, litigious society we live in. And you can either collect garbage and make $1 million a year, or you can mortgage your house and hope that the airplane sells.
Yeah.
And it's like, what a crazy way to make a living. And then to have to deal with people like me to help sell it. I mean, that is a terrible thing, right, Ryan?
The thing is, it's just interesting to me because RC, like a lot of things, is sometimes behind the curve of society. And so the influencer thing of it all was around, but it was late coming to us. I mean, in RC, it's far enough behind that I could be a trendsetter. Like, I didn't invent it, but I was like, hey guys, this is the thing. Let's do it like the rest of the world as far as the affiliate stuff kind of goes. And so that's a whole nother ball of wax. But I think us that stick around and make it, had really, saying honorable intentions makes it more than what it is, but just come from a pure place at the beginning. But yeah, I had a great time with you and the Sailors at that show.
That was cool. And then we flew through the Ring of Fire. Do you remember? You were like, you outlasted me and Nate, I believe.
Yeah, I conquered for sure.
You conquered. And I mean, you killed me. I was like dead, like in 3 or 4 loops.
Killed me though, I gotta say, and because I've told you this on the phones, like when I'm with you and Nate, you guys give me the utmost respect, and I really super appreciate it. And you also act like I'm knocking down the door right at your heels. And the truth of the matter is, on the numbers, you guys kill us. You know what I mean? Nate's got crazy numbers. You've got crazy numbers. I stall out at 22K, but I'm right in the mix with you guys. And I think it's hilarious, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And I think that's always been what I try to remind myself, because if I trip up or allow expectations to really work their way into my perception, I'd be done.
Yeah,
I just love it like you guys do.
YouTube is it's just a it's a succubus. Don't look it up. And it will suck the fun out of it if you're not careful. And there's been times in our married life where it's been exactly that, and it's difficult in the married life. But it's more about the deadlines and about the impossible deadlines. Like, hey, we're going to ship you a plane. We need it by Thursday, and then it shows up on Friday. I'm like, did I have a time
yesterday? I enjoy the deadlines.
Yeah,
because I'm a busy guy anyway, and so having the deadlines was motivation, and for the longest time, I never missed one. And then I thought it was a good idea to have a hobby shop for a little while. And
that was an awesome idea.
Nope. First time I ever missed any. So I don't quite have the deadlines like I used to. And that's okay too. Like I'm good with it. But what I want to get to is sometimes for me it's a fear of missing out.
Oh yeah.
You guys
real.
Feel it like I do, where you can't let go because it's all so capricious.
Yeah.
Like easy.
I have to look that word up.
Fickle. It could easily fall away.
Put that
you don't put out content for a month and you're
dead.
Your relevancy is
and when I say dead, I don't mean like literally. But yeah, your relevancy is gone. If you stop doing content for a week, it's a big deal.
Right.
But there are people that have reach that can get away with it, but they're much larger than us. I mean, they're in like
they're larger.
And they're doing longer content that's like, really primed and proper, not like ours, not like mine. I'm not speaking of yours.
You know what? I mean, my thing is like, I don't have. There was a time where I think I was really, really, really going hard, and it might have done me some good, but it is super hard to sustain when you're kind of on your own. Like I have camera people help me here and there, and I've been very fortunate in that regard, but there's only really been a couple times that I had a dedicated person for it. And that was why I created the stream in the first place, so I could still connect and stay out in it regardless of if I could get camera on it or not. And I'm at the point now where when I do go flying with my buddies and stuff, I have only done it for work for so long that I feel bad now asking someone to film me.
Yeah.
And so I'll film them. It's like, it's too good to miss. So I'll pick up a camera and I'll film my buddies. And, I need to have, they wouldn't mind if I ask them to do it, but more this year than in many years have I just gone out and flown and not worried about the content. Do you ever get to do that?
Almost never. And I'll tell you when I do, because if the kids are at church on Wednesday night, then I come home from work and it always works out. I'm home early, which is why I'm not involved, because my work keeps me till when I am done. And that might be midnight or 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. the next day or whatever. And then sometimes it's not. Sometimes I get off early. And so it's usually the latter. But when I get home, there might be a nice evening. And I just saw a comment go through. I was reading this while you were talking about that last thing, but Dan Zimmerman had mentioned that Brian and Megan do a great job getting content out, considering how crazy the Iowa weather is. And I mean, we don't have hurricanes going through today, but I mean, the truth is that's exactly what the problem is for us, is that we have to build our lives around windows of opportunity. And you might have however many hours it is in a week, you might get 3 hours of prime opportunity because you need the lighting right, you need wind right, and you need to have the equipment, and you need to be ready for it, which means for us, we have to have the unbox build radio setup portion done. And that sometimes means we're doing it at 1 a.m. and then eating dinner with our family of 6, which is incredible.
And imagine if you had to also go somewhere to do it.
Yeah, I know. Why do you think we invested what we did on this property? In fact, when we built it, we built that runway. We were like, oh, we're just gonna like use the road, right? Because it's a road to a cemetery. There's like no traffic unless somebody died, and then there is a lot of traffic for like 1 minute, and then it's done. And then when the funeral's over, there's 1 minute of traffic. I'm dead serious when I say that. Dead, lots of death. It's weird, like a cemetery. So. But they also do like Memorial Day, like they'll go out and they'll do 21 gun salutes, which is super awesome. Cool. And then they'll do like tractorcades and stuff every once in a while, just like out of the blue. We have no clue what's going on. And then there's like 2,000 tractors. But truthfully speaking, there is like no traffic on a road. It's crazy. It's paved to a cemetery and then back, and that's it. And there is no reason you'd go there unless you were going to the family farm and it switches to gravel. And so people don't often go there unless they're going 100 miles an hour and they're coming back. So at the end of the day, we thought we won't pave this runway. And then we were like, no, we need to invest the cash money now and do it. And it was like a lot because I drive a big, at this time it's a 40,000 pound, test truck that has a crane on it with like thousands of pounds of weight, like literal 1,000-pound blocks. Cause I work on scales and, I wanted to have room for a 60 or 80 or 90,000 pound truck to go up that driveway. And so it's
and not break up.
Yep, exactly. And so when we did that, then they poured all the concrete that way. So even the sidewalks are like 6-inch fiber reinforced with 18-inch on center rebar, which anybody who knows, that's like a parking lot. So you can like, that's a genuine parking lot thickness. You could do 10-inch for like a highway and 24-inch for like an interstate. So when we did that, it was a huge investment. And now I don't know if we're going to continue that down to the damn runway or if we're going to do something different. But the truth is, like, the investments were palpable at the beginning. And when we moved from our last place, which was in town, in the capital city in central Iowa, in Des Moines, Iowa, we moved out to the country. We looked for 7 years for property, by the way. 7 years. 7 years. It was not easy to find. And when we made the decisions to do it, it was a huge commitment. In fact, I remember I was talking to my dad. He was on vacation in Mexico. We're watching the sunset. And I'm like, this is crazy. And my dad was like, it's crazy. You shouldn't do it. And we're very, very glad we did it for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is the huge investment. And I mean, retirement account investments to get this property, to get the house put together. We wanted to be in the country, but we wouldn't have invested it the way we did had we not been doing the YouTube channel.
Right.
And then the property next to us, we sent an email to this family and we said, hey, if you ever want to sell, because it was like a December night, we were out walking. It was just beautiful, full moon, walking between our properties. And I'm like, they had staked for where their house was going to be. And I'm like, we like really need to get that property. And they sent an email back. I said, if you ever decide to sell, just like, do me a favor, just hit me up. They hit me up. It was like a Tuesday night. I had just gone back to work from like a Memorial Day or something like that. I went back to work for my day job, get a call at 7 or text and email at 7. I was on the phone at 7:02. I said, I'm sitting down. What do you need for it? Yeah, I'm glad I was sitting. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, we ended up getting that. Then later we worked for almost 3 years to get the neighbor's next property. And that puts us up to where we are now. And that's how we're landing full scale airplanes on our property, is because that was all like in the cards, but we just didn't know how we were going to get it to work. And so, dude, it's all happening right now. So I mean, this has been a long time, like pie in the sky type. I want to do this crazy thing.
Yeah.
And people do a lot of talking and a lot of inaction in general. And I have always been that annoying guy who talks about stupid crap and then does it. And so Megan is the lucky one that gets to live with it. But the provision that has come with, and because of the necessity for all these like weird circumstances, has been crazy to watch. And it's like you think like, hey, is God going to provide for the family? Are we going to have a retirement? Are we going to be able to take care of, this and that? It's never been like we can map out so much, but then there's so much where you're just doing it on faith. And the truth is we've been doing it on faith. And when there's a blip on the map, when there's a little bump in the road, it's scary. and you start thinking, okay, well, are we making the wrong decision? And so we're about ready to hit one of those landmarks again, landmines, if you want to call it. And that would be getting this building put together. And I'm telling you what, man, there's going to be some huge invoices on that. And it's very scary, but it's very real. And we're very much like at this point, God willing, doing it. But very God willing. If it doesn't happen, it's because something came up and doors were slammed in our face for good reason, for protection of our family. For
Yeah.
So,
you gotta trust it, but it's working. It's working. You're putting in the work.
It's like I said, no free planes. In case that wasn't already
free planes.
No such thing.
It's a lot to do. It's a huge risk, but so is everything worth doing. And
hey, Ryan,
you're putting
did you know
that
somebody gave me a real plane, a free real plane?
What?
I have a real plane in a storage unit.
I
paid $1 for it.
Hold that thought.
Real plane.
I'm getting something to drink. I want you to answer this question. Can you see it? So, Big Jim, he put in a twofer. So 2 questions, $5.
Cool.
Do vendors just
I saw this earlier, Jim, by the way. I just didn't want to interrupt.
Do they stay on us? Do they stay on you? I kind of already know the answer to this, but I want to hear.
Do you want me to answer it, or do you want to answer it?
I can answer it first because I'll be really fast, and then I'll get a drink while you're answering.
You're saying I'm gonna take a long time? Thanks.
Yeah,
you're right.
Do providers just stay on you to push the planes, or do they? That's one question I would say. Do they stay on us to keep after making videos on the planes? And do they also accept critiques or recommendations to fix problems you notice? I'm going to answer really fast, really quick. I would say no. They really leave you alone. I think they're mostly worried about the first one and the release. And then everything else is what the creator, the artist, decides to do themselves. Like really smart to do the second look when the thing is actually finally in stock, like those kinds of things. And then do they accept critiques or recommendations? I think they do accept critiques and recommendations. However, by the time these products have made it to our hands, the deal is done. Yeah. You know, we're marketing it. The product is already rolling.
It's like, how do you get the sausage back into the sausage packing? You know, it's like, hey, he's going to get a drink, so I guess I'm going to take over. Everybody subscribe to Brian Phillips RC quick while he's not looking.
Plug it, man. Plug it.
Go ahead and get your drink. It's okay. I won't steal all of your subscribers. So here's the thing, Jim, Big Jim RC. Yes, the answer is they give us sort of free reign. When we made our relationship with Horizon, okay, that came out of the blue. We weren't expecting it. That was the biggest one. And obviously Horizon's one of the largest in the world. And so it's really good to be in relationship with them. They have been very good about letting us be totally honest about what we think. But the thing is, do they take our feedback? I would say taking our feedback. There's been a couple of times I've complained about small things, and then it's like they get all butthurt about it. And that's just the way it goes. And it's like, too bad, put LEDs on it then. If you want to hear us tell the truth, that's one of the things. But to be honest with you, it's all in the eyes of the beholder. They know actually probably a lot better than we do. I have expectations. My expectations do not write checks. Okay. Their expectations, people lose jobs because they make a bad decision. And so I remember that to a certain extent because I work in an industrial field. I realize that this is a lot bigger than just us, but if we're the tip of the spear or whatever you want to call it, like on a particular release, and I say that within the group of other people that do the influencing as well. I don't want to be perceived as like a sourpuss about a product, but sometimes the products are just not that great. You can tell by my level of excitement if I love a product, but I have to keep it in check with like, okay, this is a $100 product. It's not $1,000 product. Okay. If I take and compare everything I have to the Carbon Z Cub, you know, it's like, it's going to look like crap in comparison. So you have to be at least intelligent enough to be able to say like apples to oranges, folks. And sometimes we get a bad rap for that because like people are like, oh no, but this one's better. And I'm like, well, that one doesn't really like compare. It's a lot more expensive. It's got retracts. It's got this, it's got that. Yeah. So they're just not comparable. Yeah. And so part of the reason that we do a good job, and I hope that we're not speaking out of turn when we say this, guys, and we hope you agree with us, is that we bring this experience, but we've done all 200 other planes. And so if you've done all 200 other planes, you can say like, yeah, this one just doesn't feel right. And there are times when you just can't put your finger on it. And I'm telling you, it's hard to articulate that at times because we have a certain expectation. We want things to be good, but we really want them to be what they say they are. If they're what they say they are and they suck, then we're fine with it. And the thing is, we don't want to make up for other people's minds what a product is. Like, we're not going to insult, like, you're a bunch of adult people. Like, you don't want to be told what something is, right. But at the same time, you want us to be out there saying, hey, you know, like maybe this one would be a better choice over here. And that's what we've always been, we try to be good about, is like, hey, if you really want to figure it out, like, just go to bprc.me and compare it to something else. And the only reason I say that, Ryan, is not to steal all your subscribers, but also to, I mean, we have so many common subscribers anyway, but at the end of the day, if your comparison is a Crescendo to like an ASW 20, what was it? ASW 20, what am I thinking of?
28 or the 17?
The 17, ASW 17, 2.5. It's, you know, is it a fair comparison? They're kind of different planes because they're not in the same size class because of that 0.5 disparity. It's a big difference. Yes. Or if you compare a Fox 3 to a Fox 2.3, you're just like out of this world. They're not even the same world. Okay. And that's one of the things that you'll notice is, like, if you get a Horizon product, okay, so Ryan obviously has an opinion about Horizon. We have an opinion about Horizon. At the end of the day, Horizon is one of the world's largest marketing companies for these products, and they drive a better product for a better price than the competitors can because they have more purchasing power. I hate to break it to you, but when you go to Walmart and you get a gallon of milk for cheaper than you can get it for your local shop, that's because they have purchasing power. And I didn't make the rules. I just live here and enjoy the benefits of these rules. Okay.
Well,
they drive a better deal.
Before we get too off, like, to speak to the point, like at this spot, you are in your journey and I am in mine. The products have to speak for themselves.
Yeah.
But you have to be, we are translators and ambassadors. Like, I feel like I'm trying to speak for what somebody would experience when they were trying to handle this thing themselves, and how to do it, take it or leave it, you know. Sure. And speaking to who it's for, I think is great stuff. Comparison. So I came from magazine, and the editor there, I was warned about this by one of the other people that worked on the magazine. They're like, don't ever start comparing anything to anything else.
Yeah.
As bad as people may want that.
Yeah. It's hard. It puts us in a legal predicament.
As a magazine or a content provider, the thing now you can answer questions,
sure,
you know, I think, but the thing has to, and it was also never say but, and never compare. And that was one of the things that I always kind of, I took it to heart. I didn't ever do it with the articles. And then you learn how to speak between the lines. Like, the people who know you and watch you, and me too, they know when we're really pumped up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think we always have fun because we just like doing it anyway.
Yeah. The flying is always the fun part, even if it's a crappy product.
But there's some stuff that's like, oh yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And so the folks that know us can read that.
But it's hard when you go from like a $1,000 product to $100 product, and you're doing it like within real close proximity. And it's not to take anything away from the $100 product, because not everybody's got a $1,000 budget. And so you don't want to take away from that person that's buying that you don't want to discourage these people.
You want them to make an informed decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you have to help put it in that right perspective.
The Tiger Cat from FMS, is it better than the Flightline one? Yeah. It should be. It's $200 more, right? Both are amazing. If you're a 4S guy, then that's the one.
Yeah.
If you're 6S and you got them, or you're okay to go with 6S, which is like the new 2200, then this one is the one. But the truth, enough for folks to make their own informed decision.
Right.
And, you know, I really need to have somebody do a channel trailer for me now where Sarah McLachlan music starts playing and I pet my dog and I drive you to click the links. But, you know, if you're gonna, you're gonna. It's one of those things we have to say. I'm sure you're sick of saying it too, but you have to.
I love saying it.
And I think you're really good at it, so you must.
I
I
say it in
can't
my sleep.
stand it.
Click the links. Click the links.
I can't stand it. Links in the disc row. So I kind of try to laugh it off. But
it's hey, you don't have to be embarrassed. It's just the system we operate in, man.
But you have to remind folks, and that's okay.
Support you.
If you're giving them the truth and you're giving them your time and you're not shoving it down their throat, you're just telling them what to expect. You know, there's some things like if I'm talking you can almost tell by the language too, the way people ask questions. If they don't quite have the vocabulary, but they're talking about the Viper 90, it may need to be the Habu STS first.
Right.
Oh, yes.
That's it.
But then also the other thing is we're out here trying to make an audience of a mixed audience. We don't know who you're going to be. We want to make sure that you're getting the right plane because like if you have a bad experience, you're gone forever potentially.
That's right.
And if you have a great experience, you could be hooked forever. And we love having, remember, this is not just about winning on one sale of one plane, but that's what the marketing companies want. I don't care. I'm not running their company. I'm running Brian Phillips RC. I want people that love the hobby, that are hooked, like to the point where they don't mind having an argument with their wife to get approval for a new plane, like once a month. Yeah. And the thing is, like, but we want to teach them how to win that argument, you know?
Well, we want them to be successful. And that's one of the things that I've always noticed in this time that I've been in this. Like, even no matter what my opinion is on some folks or maybe other creators and companies, I still feel like, and I think it's amazing how I really feel like even folks in the business like are really at the core. They're in love with this in a way where they are rooting for the beginner to have success and not just for the obvious so they come back and stay with it.
Well, we need people in the hobby because we need legislative authority.
Well, how much fun we all still remember how exhilarating it is to finally figure out how to do this stuff, to get the first one up and down without killing it. Like all of these things stay real close to the chest, right? And it's easy to, I think really even the business people of it all, like, I think I've always thought it was amazing because I've seen companies have the opportunity to have that person who does not have the vocabulary. So, you know, they don't have the chops, but of course they like the F-14 with the swing wing.
Yeah.
Or of course they like the big whatever. They're not ready for it. And you can tell, and the companies steer them to something more appropriate. And I think that says a lot about the air side of the hobby, from influencers to the companies that make it. Because I have never really seen anyone oversell a beginner. The whole communities of RC groups and social media seems to always rein it in. If somebody's ahead of themselves, I mean, almost to a fault, but I really feel like everyone's rooting for that new person to have success. And it blows me away because I don't think it's like that in every industry, but something about the romance of flight transcends politics and everything else, where we are all rooting for that person to have success, unless you're some kind of special a-hole. It seems to be everywhere that folks are rooting for the beginner. And I love that about this hobby.
And I think that's why we always say we want people to buy the right plane at the right time for the right reason. And I've said that a million times, but that's like the bottom line of this whole thing. If you don't get the right thing, we had somebody in our house literally today, and she walked in and she was like, I need to get my 9-year-old kid doing this.
Yeah.
You know, and I sat and had a conversation with her for 10 or 15 minutes. Where do you start? What do you get? She's looking at N7. Well, not that.
Not that.
This little 100. The 90 we were talking about a few minutes ago. That is our 15-year-old's favorite thing right now.
Right.
That little, because he
and
can
our
fly
little
it inside.
And our little boy too.
And not everyone's going to listen to our advice.
No.
But I didn't listen.
Sometimes they come back to it.
Yeah.
But they will come back to it. And I didn't listen either. But I knew it was the minute I learned the hard way, I knew how right they were. And they're going to appreciate that, because that's what you develop and you build when you're on a platform like this for so long. You have a tremendous amount of trust and authority. So when E.F. Hutton speaks, people listen, you know, and that's an old commercial throwback reference. Anyway, people listen to us because we've been around for a minute, and not everyone's going to listen right away, but they will eventually. And it's not about us being right. It's just about them realizing, oh yeah, there are baby steps and maybe I should take them.
Yeah. And it'll pay dividends. And it's not just about saving a few dollars on a plane. One of the biggest things I try to talk people into is, as soon as you know you're hooked, get a programmable transmitter, get into something that you can grow with, and you will never regret getting it. I don't care if you get a Radio Master and then you get an NX10 and then you get an iX20, whatever. I mean, you can almost always sell a transmitter to somebody too at the field. And that's one of the best things. Like I had a DX18 myself, and I was using it just fine. And that was before working with Spectrum, and I loved it, and I would never go back. The thing is, we started with the 6, then we went to the 8, then we went to the 10. Now you're getting 14 channels on all of them. Now you're up to 20 on the 10 and 8. And it's like, as long as you got the sliders and the switches you need to do the things you need to do, that's what you need. As soon as you know you're in, get it. It's good money after bad if you do anything else. The middle steps, Horizon loves it if you buy them. But the thing is, if you know you're going to fly Spectrum gear, get one. Even if you fly Futaba as well, get the Spectrum for the Spectrum bind and flies, because then you make a lot better value. And it's like, these are the types of things that we try to bring to the table.
Seriously.
Which sound like a sales pitch, but it's not. It's just exactly what I was doing.
It's you know, again, to the truth. Like I was telling guys at this swap meet, I was like, listen, you can be Futaba, you can be JR, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you like these new offerings that come, bind and fly,
just get
that receiver by itself. If it's a 631 is $80. If it's a 637T, it's $115. And you're only paying $20 to $30 more than a plug and play to get it. You're silly not to fly Spectrum.
And with AS3X Plus, it's so subtle, and they've done a terrible job of selling it. I gotta say, that AS3X Plus is a big deal. And if you have a steerable nose wheel, holy cow, it's huge. Just being able to separate and do more amplitude on a steerable nose wheel channel, and then have the delay when it's closed, so it's not sitting in there chattering, using up power, is huge. It's like, why did we not have this before kind of moment, where you want to beat them over the head and say, hey, why did you wait so long? But at the same time, now you need a guy like me to help them through the radio setup, because, like, you know, we're having trouble getting people to know how to bind their planes.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be patient. We're going to be here. We're going to be as honest as we can. Of course, we're going to try to sell stuff. Like, why would we not? We want you guys in the hobby. We want you flying. We don't want you watching them.
If you're going to buy it anyway.
Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah.
So, and I can't stop you from watching Ryan's video and then buying it from my links. There's nothing wrong with that. Sorry, Ryan. I had to. You know,
I can take it, man, for sure. I'm still here is a testament for those who know, like, you know. I wish safe was easier to set up for people. And here's why. I see it where, and they're amazing ready to fly offerings with the progressive modes of beginner, intermediate, and then expert. The minute somebody does finally get a computer radio,
then they have a heck of a time with those.
They want to bind it to that plane. Can't blame them for that. But they still want the beginner, intermediate, expert mode. And there's a preconceived notion that if you do the presets or the file templates that are in the radio, if they
That's
are, that's only the flight controls.
Yeah.
There are two setups to every airplane now. You have to consider the flight controls and the stability.
Yep.
One thing I would love to see developed is it is almost such a thing where what I used to think was really archaic with the sticks in and the switch 5 times.
Yeah.
Honestly, when you consider what it takes to make it happen in forward programming,
Yeah.
it's almost advisable. If you're talking to somebody who doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Yo.
Well, and there is a bridge for that right now.
5 times.
I don't push it, but there's a bridge for it, and it's downloadable templates. And I agree with you. I think, okay,
But
so
here's
the thing.
there, right?
Perfect example. STS, Habu 70 STS. I push people to the 50 or to the SS. If you want an everyday flyer and you can afford the 4S and 6S, go to SS. Forget the STS. Because guess why? Because the STS has that goofy receiver that's hard to set up. And I'm like, why don't you just get the 50, buy the cheaper battery, and then go to the 70 millimeter STS and have a better experience. And then you've got 4S, 6S compatibility.
That's one of the things.
And then you keep away from that goofy transmitter receiver combo.
You're on it. You're right. Because so many people with experience that could be helping beginners are so far away from RTFs.
Yeah.
That the way those receivers and flight controllers work,
yep.
We don't know what.
And they don't even know that you have to bind. Right. They don't know what stabilization
the aircraft type thing. You know, if you want to do one aileron, one flap, it's not. Nope. Even if they got a Cub and they have the flaps in it, you don't tell it one aileron, one flap.
Yeah.
In aircraft type.
Yep.
How would you know that?
And that's why we exist, Ryan. And that's the thing. I'm telling you, it's like this. So many people have come back to the hobby and they need help. And we try to give it to them because I remember going, and I'm not an idiot, you know, I mean, it may seem like it and I act like an idiot sometimes, but I work on pretty complex machinery. I have a degree in robotics automation. I work on machines that cost a lot more than anything I've ever had in my life and will. And I do that on a routine basis. But then when I got back into the hobby world, I'm like going to the hobby shop and the guy's like making fun of me because I want spare props. I'm like, first of all, A, sell me the props, moron. B, why are you making fun of somebody that's here spending money on props? Sell them 1 million props. Like, hey, you need 7 props for that plane. Yeah. You're probably get 8.
It wasn't his shop. I remember that. I guarantee you this. It wasn't his shop.
Exactly. But the thing is, I'm telling you what, as a beginner, that was from actually a pretty good shop. But the thing about it is, I tell you what, I would never tell somebody that's brand new to the hobby, you don't need spare props. Are you kidding me? I blew through props like they were going out of style. I bent so many prop shafts. I didn't have a motor that would spin straight for years. And that's okay, because when you're a beginner coming back to the hobby, I was just lucky to be binding the thing. And remember, I got that stuff from my grandpa, and that helped to get me started over the hump. I was working with like DX5s, DX4Is. Yeah, I don't know if you remember that. And I'm talking old stuff. And he was buying like new transmitters every time he'd get a plane because he didn't understand you were binding them to each receiver. And at the time, I didn't understand. Yeah. I was still used to crystals. I still literally had crystaled receivers. Yeah. And it's like, I actually have one of those Futaba crystaled receivers, probably illegal to use right now. Not that I would care. But the thing is, you know, that's what we're trying to get people up to speed. And it takes a lot. And so people are like, Brian, your videos are long. And I'm like, yeah, forget it. Because you don't have to watch the whole thing doesn't mean you have to watch the whole thing. That's right. There are people who need it. They need the help, and they're going to get the help however they get it. And they don't care if it takes a couple hours. They're going to work through it. And it's very hard to talk people in.
They're glad just to get it done.
Yeah. One plane.
They're coming from the RTF side, and then they want to, you know, you can't blame them for wanting to bind it to their new radio.
Absolutely. 100%.
But I say set it up by the book. It's the best way to learn the radio.
Yep.
And you have to go into it knowing, and I try to lay this out, that there are 2 setups. Every plane has 2 setups. If you don't care to have beginner mode or safe, then just bind it and you'll have AS3X. But if you want safe, there's going to be a lot to go through.
Right.
And a lot of times people think they've got it done, but it's not 100% clear when you're all through the process that you also have to confirm
Yes.
in all 3 flight modes, in all 3 axes, that whether you want fixed or adjustable. And it must be done. I've seen it so many times where somebody's got it all the way right except for that. Because it's not like a prerequisite kind of screen. There's other things on that screen, so it's easy to go next or back or whatever and skip it. But like, who would know that you have to 9 times confirm for each axis on 3 modes what it's got to be? How would you know that without you telling them? And
here's the other thing. Is there a reason that we can't get it done on one screen?
That's what I mean.
Why not?
To keep people I'm not complaining. I know how to work it.
Yeah.
But I'm rooting for the hobby, just like you, right? We're all rooting for the hobby. That's what we were talking about before. We're rooting for the new guy. When you're rooting for the new guy, you're rooting for the hobby. I'd love to see that be easier for the new folks, because it's the ones that are jumping from the progressive modes, which they sold them on that.
Yep.
And it's amazing.
I'm just glad we got away from the GPS landing.
They're instantly over their head, though. They're instantly over their head once they're into their own radio.
Yep. Well, I'm telling you what, it's our job, Ryan, especially like with your day job now. It's our job to really help educate these people, to get them to like, hey, take a breath. It's going to take you a couple of planes. I tell people, if you watch 5 of my videos and they're long and you still can't set up your radio system, there may be no hope for you, but you will have invested like a week's hourly wage to week's work just watching 5 videos. But you'll know how to do it, because I'm telling you, if you just do it yourself 4 or 5 times, that's why the whole downloadable templates, I've always talked to people. I said, listen, it's not just about watching our videos. It's about like, hey, muscle memory, knowing how it works. I want to know how a machine works so that when something goes wrong, guess what? I have a clue. That doesn't mean I'm going to immediately know what's wrong, but I'm going to have a better option. The diagnostic efforts are going to be quicker.
Exactly. Yep. And why would a new person need the rates to be on 3 different switches?
Yeah, exactly. Put them on one. Be done with it.
Yep. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm rooting for them.
And why a 3-position switch that's got a high rate and a low rate? Why not a high, mid, low? It's like it's all in the eye of the beholder. I think
the books are still stuck on dual rate, but it's generally a 3-position switch. Yep. So it's like, somebody who's not experienced is going to catch themselves on full throttle, no expo kind of rate if they're not careful.
But then the other interesting thing I've found over the years is that you'll get the old timers that want to come back and fly, and they're like, I do not like the way stabilization feels, which is funny. If you guys don't fly, there is a feel, and you feel it, and it's weird because you're not getting any feedback. There's no vibration or resistance like a steering wheel in a car where you actually have haptic feedback that you feel. When you fly an airplane, you feel it. It's weird because you don't really feel it. You just feel it. And it's even on a simulator, you feel it. You can feel the way a plane flies, which, by the way, as good as real flight is, you don't feel it like you do in a real plane. And that's why I say, when you're learning to fly, if you're an adult male that has real consequences for real decisions all day long, the simulator's nice because you can spend a little bit less money. But if you want some consequences attached to it, you're going to learn quicker, even though it might be more expensive.
Yeah.
Get yourself a good plane, get yourself a good simulator, do both. That way, when it's really windy, rainy, crappy, you fly the simulator to reinforce good habits. But you got to get in the air. You got to have a human. Is best case scenario, you can have a human that's willing to teach you on a buddy box. Oh my goodness. Buddy box is one of the biggest technological advances that we have. And I'm not talking about just safe, but buddy box is huge. Me and Ryan can be flying a jet together. If he's got his endorsements, he can fly it legally with me. I can fly it. And then you have a split second to be in full control unless something goes wrong. And that is always something you got to watch for. But
you want people to own the experience. You know, I think safe is great. Some folks will just, you know, dump all over it. It's got its place. You want people to feel ownership over their flights. And I see it sometimes where there's nothing. I mean, you and I both, like, if I want to feel like a beginner, I just will look like one if I try to fly one of those planes or program it, you know. It does take a lot of input to bring it around if you're in beginner or intermediate mode. And if it is about muscle memory, which it is, you're going to learn bad habits if you don't ever get out of that.
Yep. It took me a year to get out of safe.
You got to hold that full left to bring it around, or it's going to fly away.
And then you flip it out of safe and it's going to the ground.
So like in safe, you hold that input, and in expert or regular, whatever, AS3X,
you're 10% into the stick.
But you don't hold it. You put it there, and then you're back to neutral, pulling through with elevator.
Yep.
It's a completely different deal.
Have you ever, this is one thing I learned, and I'm not saying that it's true for everybody, but in my experience, flying those little cheap throwaway drones that you get for $20 at, you know, McDonald's during the holiday season, you know, you get, there's like a dime a dozen. And sometimes they're some of the best ones, which is kind of funny because, you know, you get a hair in them and they ruin the motor and you throw it away. It's no big deal. Right. But, you know, you get one girl hair in there and it's ruined forever.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, exactly. But you get one of those and it helps you with just the mode 2, throttle on the left, you know, rudder on the left, and then ailerons and elevator on the right. Just even that alone is huge, because I talk to people that have zero muscle memory and you think it's easy to fly this plane. Well, I admittedly have gotten to the point where I've sort of like forgotten how hard it is to just know, because I think, oh yeah, well, since it automatically levels, it's easy. Well, you still got that whole, like, it turned around when it's facing me and sort of thing. If you get a little drone that you can fly in your living room and you can do it with impunity, you don't have to worry about hitting the ceiling or the walls and things like that, or your cat or your daughter's long hair, which I've done all of those things, then you can start to learn the muscle memory. And I'm telling you, one of the easiest ways to do it. I couldn't even fly on a simulator when I started. I hated it. It was like, this is lame. But now that I fly, I like flying the simulators. So it's kind of like, you know, the backward method, but everybody learns different. And our encouragement to people that are getting into it is, you got to start where you are, which is, you probably don't know much. So we'll help get you there. And if there's somebody that's not willing to help you, or they just give you trouble at your club, go to a different club, leave the club. Don't be made fun of. Everybody starts somewhere. And if you got people that are, you know, negative Nancy's, like, quite literally, don't fly there. Because it is a challenge, and you might have like one or two jerks, but you know, if that's the normal, if that's normative there, leave. Go somewhere where you're getting support, because there's tons of great places where you can have people help you.
There really are. And there's some clubs that there's not a lot of electrics at, and then some that there, you know, there's a
ton gassers
and you know, I'm almost embarrassed to say, like, there was a time where I wasn't even thinking about it, because I didn't need safe. I didn't put it on planes for the longest time. And then the stream stuff started happening, and it made it where there was easier for feedback from the audience in like real time to get to us. And so I started really realizing, like, wow, how many people are actually really using it. And then that's when I decided I was an idiot and I should put it on everything, because it comes with it. Guys want to know how to do it, and guys want to know what we translate from it in the air. So I was almost embarrassed that I just completely missed that, because I had all these people watching me, and a bunch of them are safe users. And I was missing out myself too on, like, man, I could be talking about this whole other part of the experience that comes with the thing. Like So I put it on everything now, whether I use it or not.
Yeah.
If it's in there, I'm doing it. I get a bug
And if I hand the control to my kid, I can do it with safe on in case I drop the transmitter, or if I want to just, if I lose orientation in the sun or whatever it is, which to be honest doesn't happen near as much. Yeah, I saw that too. That was pretty cool. It doesn't happen that often. When you get a little bit more skilled, you need it less, but it's still nice to have. And there's other cool features that we almost never talk about, like heading hold and different things that will help for landing. Now, I do kind of feel like that's a little bit cheating from an influencing standpoint. We want to show them the way that they come out of the box as close as we kind of can. I used to do modifications where I'd add flaps and LEDs like everything, but that's just because I didn't have choice. Well, nowadays it's like, I want you guys to see like, hey, this doesn't have LEDs. Hey, this doesn't have flaps. Hey, this doesn't have, but can you still get the job done? And the question becomes, can you get the job done? And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
But you want to show what it comes like out of the box.
Right. I don't want to like cheat. I'm like, oh, well, I wanted to do all 3D and not trying to beat John over the head, but over at Two Brothers, he loves everything upside down 3D, which is fine. Yeah. And he's a really good pilot for not being flying very long. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm not replacing servos in a review. Like that's sort of cheating. So maybe on a second thoughts or something like that, you'd add some flaps for some inboard flaps on a simple plane or whatever, which by the way, flaps are one of the biggest overlooked features on planes.
They're so fun.
If you don't use flaps, you need to do it. It opens up an entire element of flying, and it's going to help you slow your planes down. It's going to save landing gear. It's going to save your landing zone. You'll have a better chance at success. And not only that, but you get to fly slower. And everybody's like, oh, it went 110 miles an hour. I really don't care how fast it went. If it looked fast, if it felt fast, if it sounded fast, then I'm fine with it. And the truth is, what I want is I want slow. Why? Because slow lands on a 275-foot strip.
That's right.
That's sandwiched between trees.
Fixing landing gear. I have had my hands on the sticks of all kinds of guys that have plenty of experience. And I always want to know, what do you think of the flaps? Oh, I don't use them.
Which is crazy.
And then I flip their flaps and the nose is coming up and it's a handful. And it's like, well, yeah, I wouldn't use them either. You got to set them up, man.
Yeah. You got to set up the elevator correction. It's one of the biggest features of Spectrum.
Down mix in it or whatever, I love
the other thing that's crazy is every once in a while you get a plane. Like I forgot to set it up on the 90 millimeter FMS. We just did the Avanti. Which I couldn't believe it. I turned the flaps on perfectly flat. And I think it was because AS3X Plus is just that much more refined. It's so weird because like I was super resistant to the AS3X Plus. And when they switched over to forward programming, I was resistant to it. And when they went to smart batteries, I was resistant to it.
Avanti's don't need to mix.
I'm kind of a late adopter.
It's a pattern here.
It's a pattern.
Avanti's, from what I remember, are so dialed, they just didn't need.
They just fly.
Anything.
To be honest, I turned off the stabilizer and I couldn't believe how good it felt, but I flew it on some crazy windy days and the thing was rock solid. And
I want one. Tell them turkeys to send me one, man.
The turkeys? Are you talking about FMS?
Yep.
The famous brand?
Bro, I'm on there. I'm doing my like 5th Jimny chassis right now. Do you know that Jimny they got, that 1/6 scale thing?
Yeah. No.
So I love that chassis for the leaf springs, and I modify those chassis a lot.
That's a smaller one.
Yeah.
That's the little dude, the 12 scale.
That's a good one still.
It is. Bro, we're not gonna go crazy on trucks, but
oh, come on. Now he's going to bring out an awesome truck. I just happen to have that in my drawer. Oh, come on. Look at that. Cool. Sweet. You got it in the sand finish.
This is the first Suzuki Jimny 1/6 scale that I customized.
Show me the glass. Put your fingers through it.
They don't. Yeah, there's no glass. It's no hinges, nothing yet. This doesn't come with doors and a top in the back, and it doesn't come with a lift.
Drop it so we can see the suspension. Drop it.
It's leaf sprung, and you can put the axles on the bottom of the leaves.
Nice.
Super customizable. I've done a handful of 3D printed bodies now on these chassis. So anyway, FMS.
They make a mean car. I mean, I got to say, FMS does a good job on a lot of different things. Where they make up for making good vehicles, sometimes they make some interesting decisions on their releases and how they're going to run their affiliate program.
The small stuff isn't really for me so much, but yeah, I really am a fan of that because I've been doing this crawler stuff for a minute. We're even doing a stream now on Thursdays, same time, 9 Eastern on Thursday, so I don't kill my airplane people with the truck stuff, but I tease it a little bit. But I have priced out leaf spring kits and super scale kits, and they're expensive. You can get that whole Jimny for under $200 right now, and I just take the body off and customize the chassis.
Wow.
These are trucks that you can't buy them. Same with this one.
Are you selling the bodies or what?
Not yet. I'm just making them myself. I mean, they're someone else's files. They're out there in 3D print land. But I don't know if you've been tuning into my Thursday show, but dude, I mean, this Willie's wagon, I mean, it's dynamite. This Trimmer's truck, inspired from a movie, is 3D printed and hand fabricated. I've got a 1964 International thing sitting over here that's just killer. So Thursdays, that's what we're doing, building crawler kits, fabbing things up. Doing some of that.
Come fab up a crawler course for me at my yard.
Yeah, that'd be
because
awesome.
I want to make an awesome crawler course because my front ditch, I've gotten sick and tired of mowing it.
Yeah,
it sucks to mow that thing, and I got to mow like 7 acres right now because of the pond. And as soon as the pad is done that we're building here in a couple of weeks, then you know, hopefully I can get it to where I don't have to mow quite as much, but it's been very time consuming this year. And it's funny because mowing is one of those things. It's like, you don't think about until you have to do it. And then it's like, wow, I have a son that's old enough to mow part of it. So he started doing
nice.
It. Yeah. It's really nice.
Yeah. I'm digging that because it keeps me occupied too. Like, you know, the flying, like you were saying, the weather's got to be right and everything. I don't get to do it outside my door, so this truck stuff, you know, keeps me occupied in between the times where I can, you know, you have to be really intentional around here to get out and go do it with your friends. And I need to go do it with my friends because I really need to get a camera on it, you know, when I'm doing it. So I've enjoyed this, and I never would have endeavored to even try to do the shop if I didn't have some understanding of surface. And, you know, some of these guys give me a hard time for it in here. Well, that's why we're doing it on Thursday. But, bro, I can send those bashers. I mean, I can fly those things pretty good. And I'm racing now, too. So, I mean, I'm having a real good time with it. So there's a lot to RC than just flying. And, you know, some of your competitors do a whole lot of both. I mean, you do some surface, but you and I both are considered more of an air channel.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think it's more of a niche. And the thing is, like, you know, there's a lot of people that have really huge market reach on the ground, and they do a great job. And to be honest with you, where they do well with ground stuff, we do better with airplane stuff. And part of the reason I do is because Megan's filming it. And you guys tell us that all the time. And I know it's true because I can't film. As soon as I hold the camera, it's garbage. It just goes.
Those close ones that she doesn't lose, that's awesome.
It is awesome. And just imagine if I got her a real camera, how much better it'd be.
Probably mess it all up.
Yeah, well, it could. Honestly, it could.
Know.
That's why we've kind of not done it. And we've been toying with the idea of getting a nice HD camera. And I mean, they're expensive, but like that's not really the holdup. The holdup is the weight, size, and shape of the camera. That's our holdup.
Yeah.
If it's not broke, don't
change
fix
shape
it.
makes a difference.
Yeah.
If it, you know what, if it's working, and it is. So congrats. I think it's awesome what you're doing. I think it's amazing that you're the kind of that kind of gumption and tenacity to keep it up. Because
and for us, Ryan, with the surface stuff, we do a lot of the surface stuff because all of our kids can do that. Everybody can drive a car, everybody can drive a boat, but it's not everybody can fly a plane. So for us, it's something that we can enjoy together as a whole family.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, the dimension is very unique of being able to fly at your house for most of us.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, with the Surface, I agree. And with the kids, like, I could do it here at the house. For flying, it was always go film it, work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the kids
and now with the drone registry,
would not want to go with me.
It's like you add the dimension of the FAA trying to intrude and stick their thing where we don't want it. And we've said no, we didn't give them consent, but they did it anyway. And truth is, I kind of wish it would have got cut off, but it didn't. So, but fortunately, they backed off the rules so much that it's pretty much emasculated into nothing. And you can get a remote ID module and just like for $40 or $30 or what? Didn't we have some little cheapy one that we did?
Yeah, like $35.
Anyway, that it's kind of the point now where it's like, who cares? Which is kind of what we thought in the first place, except it was scary for a long time. And a lot of people took it very seriously, including us, because like we're high visibility and I love this thing. And they're coming after me. And I'm like, seriously, get out of my life.
I mean, I got to be honest, like some of that FAA stuff was a little bit why I paid a little more attention to Surface when I started doing it.
Yeah, that's what one of your commenters just said. He said when the F, and then he did the asterisks.
Yeah,
it was. I was laughing about it. You probably thought I was making fun of what you were saying, but I was reading a comment. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
it was good. I loved it.
I mean, it was. It was a consideration because for a minute it almost seemed like the sky was going to fall.
Oh, I know. And we had Bruce out here preaching that all day long, X-Jet. And by the way, Bruce is a really smart guy, but it's like, truth is the sky didn't fall. But you want to know why it didn't fall is because
the people made noise.
Well, yeah, that, and they didn't really care. We weren't ever the target. They just needed to do what they needed to do so that their boss said, hey, good job, way to go. Now go do something else useless.
Yeah, to make it look like
another $20 billion or whatever it is that you do. So really at the end of the day, we just wanted to make sure we were legal and above board because we love this and, we're invested in it. And the truth is we are legal and above board and it's harder to do it that way. And it's very easy when you're not legal and above board. If you aren't visual, like if nobody knows what you're doing, who cares? Like it's not going to hurt anybody. It's ethical still. It's just so stupid that we're even having this conversation. But the truth is it impacted the hobby. It did.
You get to a point where you've got too much to lose as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, look how much we've invested on this property. We want to be able to fly it. That's like a huge deal to me. And I love this. And by the way, we got neighbors that thought it was cool that we landed a real plane here. So, that was cool that we had a guy that was willing to fly from Wisconsin to do it. Which I know we talked about it, but we had a guy flying a Cessna P172D, and that was Joel, and he flew in. It was super cool, and it was a culminating experience for us. So just operating in the legal boundaries is, no matter what hobby it is, I don't care what it is. The government seems to think that they need to be up in my business, and I'm like, just leave me alone. Go away. Take my tax money. Shut up. Leave me alone. Do your job. You shut down the freaking border. Take care of us. Shoot bad people with guns and missiles and leave me alone. And shut up about my planes, my toy planes. I don't care what you think.
Well, the people who intend to make money on the airspace, but let them incur the expense of compliance. Not us who have been recreationally enjoying it on our own, trying to mind our own business for years and years.
Yeah, that's right. And let the Karens, let's do this cool thing, guys. As a world, let's just let the Karens just do this. And then we can just go like, we don't care what you say. Bye.
Yeah.
And truth is, the best way to keep Karens quiet is to just be good neighbors as much as possible. But there will still be Karens, believe me. And let's just ignore them as a society. That's what we could do. Just be like, oh, thanks for weighing in. Bye. It's kind of hard to do that in a public limelight. You know, you don't want to poo-poo people's legitimate concerns, but there's so many illegitimate ones. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's okay if you just act like you didn't hear them.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, like, hey, so glad you're here with us.
It does have me where I would fly more at the school parking lot. I would do that more often if I wasn't worried about hearing about it.
Yeah.
So I tend to just save it for going to the club.
Yep. And that was the thing when it was so hard before we moved out here. Like you said too, then you're packing up the kids and you're taking them somewhere, and everybody's waiting around, and you're trying to do all the things all the time. What are you doing?
Cheap insurance, baby, right here. Get your insurance policy. Put it in the tool bag. Strap it on your old stick micro. Just kidding. That's 50. That's like 50 grams. See,
yeah.
What a freaking joke, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, who got states that are letting you use drugs from a vending machine for free? Seriously, it's real.
Yeah, seriously, like bigger fish to fry. Like,
but I gotta put this in my airplane and play with my toys. Sorry. Yeah, not.
I haven't done it yet.
I did. Every time it's legal, I do it.
I bring it with me. Not to the club, I don't worry about it, but I've had it with me in the car when I've gone to the school.
Sure. Yeah, but it's full. I mean, if you're there,
yet.
I remember when we flew at the school, we had the maintenance guys' telephone numbers, and they brought my bombs I dropped on accident. They were drop tanks from it was a Hawker. It was a Hawker, the Sea Fury. And I accidentally dropped my drop tanks on top of the building. And they bring them out. And I crashed like this L39. I actually genuinely lost radio signal, which has only happened to me like maybe 2 or 3 times, and crashed it. Next day I was up in there. They're like, hey, I think these things belong to you too. And he walks out and I'm like, those are drop tanks, just to be clear. They're not bombs. And so he brings them and he gives me the L39. And I was like, hey, do you mind if I just like put you in my phone? And he said, no, totally fine. And everybody was just totally cool about it. And I talked to like the grounds manager. They ended up getting an AMA approved site located right there. And it's just so many different things. I'm telling you what, like, most people are cool about it. We've had cops come up, watch us fly. We had a fire truck come up. The kids were there after we were done crashing for them. I crashed an F-14 for them. And then they were like, hey, let's let the kids look at the fire engine. So my kids like go on a private tour of the fire engine. It was so cool. And they were just bored. They were like, no, don't stop flying. We came to watch. And they show up in a fire engine, you know. So I'm telling you, the vast majority of people are just things are very positive, wholesome. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this hobby. It's a perfect hobby. It's perfect. It's huge. I know it. It was a perfect phone call. I made the phone call.
We were on, they redid State Road 31 around here. And so for the longest time, the new 31 was there, but no one was traveling on it. And so me and Mike went and filmed on State Road 31 and no traffic. Yeah. And we had done it a couple times. And the last time we went, a cop was coming up, you know, to us.
But he wanted to watch you fly.
No, he was one of the
he kicked you out?
Yeah.
Bad boy.
I'm like, come on, man.
Yes, officer. Yes, officer. I have my papers.
This was a while ago, but it was me and Mike, and we were filming like critical mass and stuff like that there. This is kind of early on because we were getting all kinds of. So with me and Mike, the runway wasn't there yet at that flying field, and so personally, we would buy planes that could handle the
grasshoppers.
Yeah. But doing the work, though, that we were doing, we were just getting whatever. And so some stuff we got was too small for the grass. And so we would go to State Road 31 or a cul-de-sac in an industrial park.
Sure.
And try to get it done. And we just kept getting kicked off, and we did stuff at some really sketchy roads with curbs and things like. I really got on my rudder game, because of some of that. But
when we flew the viral video, Ryan, with the Airbus 330-600, that was on a 275-foot runway, curb to curb, and it was, I had that thing so nose heavy. I didn't know it at the time. It was a maiden. And I missed a pothole about this big. I'm trying to get on camera, about this big. That was right where I was going. And I mean, I said it was a heart attack in maiden flight because it was a real, I was seriously scared to death. And I made it about that far over the curb when we took off. And I had just got done toasting an Airbus A320. And I'd put about 60 hours into doing this crazy, awesome lighting project, lost the plane, totaled. And the only reason I ended up with that 330-600, which still exists today in time and space in my basement, was because I got a hold of Raymond in China. And I was like, China, I need it bad. And I was crying. I'm like, I need it bad. And so he was like, okay, I'll send you one with yellowing glue. And I was like, I didn't see the yellow. But I don't know, dude. It's just, you got to do what you got to do because this habit is real.
That's it. What do you wish they would make next?
Oh, wow. Oh, man. To be honest with you, like a Horizon, I would love to see a twin, 64 separate battery, not a battery chewer, F14 that would be competitive with Free Wing because we can't get Motion to touch us with a 10-foot pole because they're afraid of our cooties or whatever. Which, by the way, I don't understand what Motion's got up there, but the truth is we'd be happy to fly their stuff and we
never heard of them. Never heard of them. Do they sell planes there?
I think they do. But no, I would love to see a couple of Carbon Z's that we haven't seen. I mean, honestly, I love general aviation. I would love to see a couple of really big scale helicopters. I'm talking 700 size that you can fly and not be good like me. And I'm telling you, people would buy that crap.
Yeah, 700 size without being 3D.
Yeah. Oh, I don't care if it's 3D. If it's 3D, great. And I'm sure it would be at that size class. But I'm talking, I want Gatling guns that open up. I'm talking Hueys. I want all that stuff. I'm not a big Airwolf fan. I know a lot of you guys are. But I would love to see some Bell, four-bladed Bell 406s or whatever they are, 206s. I'm not sure what number it is. I'd love to see some MD 500s. And we're seeing a lot of that from RC Era, but we're not seeing it from Horizon.
They're small, yeah.
And I'm telling you what, small scale is good, but you got to be cheap. And it's hard to deliver when you're up against China, who doesn't follow the rules.
Yeah.
They can cheat. And they can sell a ready to fly cheaper because they don't have to follow the compliance issues. Well, then give us a big one that they can't compete with that is legit 12S type power. These things are going to be, I would love to see those things. But I mean, really for me, the F14 is where it's at. I still want an F14. I had blessing from the camera crew to buy the Twin 80 from Free Wing when we moved. And I also had blessing to get the Carbon Z Cub, which I now have 3 of them or 2 of them or something like that.
Yeah.
And I love the Carbon Z. It's one of my favorite planes.
Yeah.
Hands down, beautiful plane. I never got the Prometheus, I think it was. The Carbon Z. Was the black biplane? Did you ever get that?
Yeah, the Prometheus. I
never had it.
The Pitts better.
Yeah.
I flew it. It's all right. I thought it was kind of heavy.
But you're not a 3D guy, and I'm not a 3D guy, right? I mean, I know how to do some maneuvers, but it's not my thing. For me, I would love to see a couple of Learjets. I would love to see an airliner. Why are we still waiting? By the time we get it, it's going to be we're going to be into the next airliner generation. They're going to be some, back to some supersonic jet.
Yeah, it'll be a train.
But it's got to be like, I don't want battery chewers. If we have smart packs, the smart packs can sometimes suffer on the higher voltage demand. And I don't want to be killing packs. I want things that fit what we have available. I don't want to have to fly high volts. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm saying you can, but I don't want to have to.
I
And
love
these are
big too. Some of the guys are saying I like big too, but the market has been going small.
well,
we see
fine.
it with the cars, and
They give me a small airliner, dang it.
yeah.
Give me a small airliner. I don't care.
I like big too, but we're seeing
I want an
smaller.
I want an MD-80. I want a Boeing 737. I don't want some stinking Airbus. I want one that will crash with MCATs.
I mean, I would love to see another 1.5 6S Warbird.
It would be good. It would be good.
But
although I gotta say, the
I don't think
P-51
we will.
was always rough for me to get on the ground. But now that we have AS3X Plus, you could totally solve the problems with that, because that thing was a squirrel on the ground. You know, once you drop that tail wheel, you were just like into the ditch.
It's North American planes come with a ground loop, man. I mean, it's just how it is.
Yeah, but the P-47, I would love to see a 1.7 meter Horizon.
Yeah.
P-47.
P-47 Republic there. That's not North American. But like T6 and P-51, I mean, ground loop city. And then the Focke-Wulf has very unique landing gear actually as well.
But they hold up. That's the crazy part.
They're really long. That plane seemed to really like a 3-pointer, where the P-51 definitely wants to come in on 2.
Yeah, but then as soon as I drop the tail, boom, in the ditch every time.
That's probably the part of where you're at.
You're saying lack of skill?
No, I'm saying it's where
it's
you're.
Okay, you can say that.
No, I'm. It's where anybody would have trouble on a tight spot with one of those.
Yeah, if you got a 700 foot by 100 foot or 700 foot by 50 foot runway, you're doing a lot better. Mine's 11 feet wide.
Yeah,
by 275 feet. It's not
when I took out the 1.5 Mustang and redeemed myself, and I did a video called "Do You Even Land, Bro?" on the 1.5 Mustang, I was legit on like 800 feet.
Wow.
And I
no thrust reverse though, right?
Don't need it on 800 feet. And I rolled that, dude. I just rolled on the ground with the tail up as many times as I could.
Yep.
And with that kind of space, you can, because you can keep your speed up, and you have to have the speed up if you want any tail authority.
Yep.
I already know, are coming in as slow as that thing will let you, which means when you are down, you got nothing steering wise. There's no authority.
The other thing too,
if you're
we moved the cherry tree. It's gone. Like, it's moved. We moved it. So the cherry that's at the end of the runway, it's moved. So there's now a hole where the cherry used to be. So now I can do a straight approach, which
is cannot tell a lie.
Crazy.
You cannot tell a lie. You did not move that cherry tree.
Well, you didn't have to cut it down, at least.
I didn't cut it down. We literally moved it. We paid a mover. As part of the pond project, we moved a lot of trees because we took a lot of trees out. It sucked. It like hurt our souls to do it, but we moved them to the other side of the pond, and now we have a grove of trees. And one of the most critical was that cherry, and that cherry was a monster. I cannot believe we had an 89-inch picking rig, and this guy's like a 90,000 pound truck. It was huge, and he was working for us. We worked out a deal, got it all worked out, and we waited for a perfect opportunity because it had to be dry enough he could drive on the yard without making giant ruts. So we just got that done, like 2 weeks ago. And so we got all the grading and everything done. We've been watering them in, and just all this crap behind the scenes. It's just nuts. And we love it. But you have to fly the site sometime, Ryan. You wouldn't believe it.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome.
Al said you never crashed into the cherry tree, just all the other trees around it.
Yeah, that's actually
avoiding the
it's kind of funny that you say that, Al, but you got to remember that tree disappears into the trees behind it. And so the reason it was so critical is because it disappeared. Now, when it's leafed out, you can get around it, no problemo. But once it's clear, like once you're up against another tree, it's impossible to see. And like this weekend, today, during our family videos or family pictures, the wind was like 30 gusting to 40 all day. The leaves are gone. I wouldn't be able to see it. And that's why you have to give it such a wide berth, which is why I hit the eagle killing zone multiple times. I hit the fox 3 meter, broke that carbon fiber spar that's like the size that you could use it for a tank barrel. Broke that in half on maiden. Also hit the F15 eagle, obviously, and then
T28.
T28. Nah, that was a 1 point. That's because I threw the thrust reverse. So yeah, at the end of the day, where we're at makes sense. That's true. And then the crown on the road makes a big difference too. On a 3-point landing, the crown makes a big difference because you're talking about a 2 foot, 3 foot deflection from the top of the crown to the edge of the shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. And that's to be considered. So no judgment on some of those tail draggers. And man, the 1.5, I mean, the wing loading, it's definitely, it's heavier compared to the 1.2 or the 1.7 Mustang, guaranteed.
What do you want?
It's a hot rod, the 1.5.
No, but what do you want
Next?
What do you want next?
What do I want, really? A Carbon Z T6 that's painted up like RCAF.
A T6 Texan?
Yeah, dude. My grandpa's North American 2 Whiskey Sierra. Yeah. Since you're asking, that's what I really want, is a big Carbon Z bad to the bone T6.
They're not going to bring it, though.
Of course not. No, you asked me what I wanted, though.
No, I appreciate that. But the thing is, I think the T6, they dropped it because it was kind of losing traction. Same with the P39. You know, it's a neat one to have. Not my favorite flying.
And you know what's weird too about the 1.5 T6 they had that was 3S?
No, that was a 1.2, right? You had a 1.5. You had a 1.5
E-Flight.
That was 1.5. I thought it was 1.2.
Nope.
My mistake. If it's a 1.5, I was wrong.
And it fits in a weird spot because it's a 1.5 on 3S, not made by FMS.
Oh.
It the same company that made like the 1.1 stuff. It's not FMS.
I did not know that.
Made that silver and blue E-Flight Texan.
Yeah.
That's a 3S.
Yeah, the Texan was 1.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the P39. My apologies.
The P39, yeah, 1.2.
1.2. Yeah. I have the 1.5 downstairs still. It's a great plane. It's beautiful.
But yeah, I know I won't see it. But man, you asked me, so that's
it'd be cool, man. I would love to see it. I love
to see. I mean, I thought a big P39 would be awesome. A nice big trike, you know. I wouldn't mind a big Zero. I wouldn't mind a Carbon Z Mustang. I've always wanted the 1.7 FMS P51. But if E-Flight had one, I'd be all over it.
Oh, yeah.
And I like the 1.5 P47 from FMS. But awesome. I'd love to see a Spitfire at 1.5 from Horizon.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see the 1.2 back because I felt like it was a pretty decent offering. Mm-hmm. But you're right. You get up to that next size, all of a sudden you've got a retractable tail wheel. You've got more scale details. You can obviously, now with thrust reverse, that helps us because flying up from a short runway. But you can also do grass hops on any of these that are tricky, and it solves the problem.
You can get away without the tail wheel because on a Spitfire. And the one thing I didn't like about the E-Flight Spitfire was the mark, the which one it was. Like I like the earlier ones better than that 5-blade high mark 14 or something. You know what I mean? Like I like Mark 9 and below.
Yeah, you want it to have the scale line that you were remembering from a kid or whatever.
I want the old school Spitfires. And they always fly. They actually seem to handle better on the ground than you think they're going to. They look super wicked, but they've always been good to me.
I've had pretty good luck with them, but I also set up my throws too far when I was earlier in my RC experience.
Yeah, that'll snap them. That'll snap them for sure. Mark 9 and earlier. Okay, guys, we're 2.5 hours. It was gonna be an hour with you, and I knew we could easily go past this. I want to open it up a little bit. We've been trying to kind of see the comments as it's been going, but let's get ready to say goodbye, and then I'm gonna go too soon. So, like, any kind of last minute stuff for Brian and
blast it out.
Megan.
I'm going to let you kind of take the lead though, Ryan, because I'm seeing it with the delay. So
Right on. And I'll, you
3
say
hours easy.
that's right. So yeah, any kind of last minute stuff. It's been great having you guys on. I mean, we could go on and on, but at a point you got to leave them wanting something. So anybody got anything for these guys? Thanks for coming. Give them a big thank you in the comments, y'all. Brian, I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon.
Yeah, you can straighten me out about all those things I said.
There's no problem. There's no problem.
Well, thanks for having us on here, Ryan.
Yeah.
We always appreciate you and the stuff you bring to the RC addiction. And we really do love this hobby, and we put ourselves into it. I mean, we really do put ourselves into it. It's not just about, like a free plane or whatever. There's no such thing for us at this point. They could give us 10 times as many planes and we'd still be at a deficit by a long shot to just get us a break even. But we love this hobby, and it's not about the next free plane, although I love the next plane. I mean, I want to see more. I want to see bigger. I want to see more exciting. I want to see more consistency, which we are seeing. I want to see consistently easier technology, which we're seeing. I want to see better LED delivery. I want to see better flaps on almost every plane, which we're seeing. I want to see soft tires, which we're seeing. And these little things that we do, like, we might nickel and dime them for a while, but they do listen over time. And we get a chance to have a voice at the round table if we hear enough of it and we're able to demonstrate it in time. Okay. And that's what we've been trying to do for years. We're getting traction, and we're helping to steer the ship. But remember, it's like a cruise ship. It takes a long time to turn. And we got to be like 8, 9 months, 10 months, 12 months out in advance of what we want these guys to do. Because if we tell them and they listen, which they don't usually, but sometimes they do, then they, if we give them actionable advice and they take it, then we can actually really help to steer this hobby in the right direction.
That's right.
And so, guys, keep with us. Thank you for being with us all these years. There's Al. I can see you cheating on me again. That's good. We really appreciate you, Boss 223. Yeah, High Desert Flyers. I mean, all these like regulars. We're used to seeing you guys. We really appreciate you being here with us for all these years. For 10 years, we've been doing it. And that's like half the time of Ryan. I mean, he's been doing it for like 100 years. So I think he was doing it in utero. So we're just glad that you're still doing it. And we're just glad that RC is still as awesome today as it was when we started. In fact, it's getting better and better. There's never been a better time to learn to fly than right now. And we've been saying that for a while, and it's true, and it's still true. So get into it. Don't wait. Waiting is only going to make you 6 months older or a year older. And believe me, your eyes don't get better when you get older. Your gut definitely changes when you get older. I just got one stomach. I used to be, well, I've always had one. Never mind. There's lots of other things that don't work as good when you're older, I've been told. So all I've got to say is just get it done. Stop waiting. Get off the sidelines. We're going to help get you there. Ryan's one of the guys that can help get you there. And we're just really honored to be part of this small group of people that help to drive this hobby forward. And we want to
don't wait to be ready. Like, get out there and go for it. There's a lot of support out there. I've mentioned this internet as being an accelerated learning program, because when I first got into RC, if it wasn't for what I gleaned from hanging out on what I consider to be everybody's first social media experience, at least it was for me, RC groups. Yeah. I spend enough time on there. They should have my name like a plank owner. and it did absolutely. There's no social proof or any kind of thing you really get for that, except for just you learn how to cull through the BS and only listen to the people that actually have experience flying the thing. You know, and with YouTube, the proof is there. We have flown them. You know, in the
longevity makes a difference.
It's fine. You know, in the comment sections, ask those questions. I still get them all the time. I know you guys do all the time. I'm certain you guys are really on the spot about getting to them. Like, you guys answer your questions good. I don't know if I posted this one before, but let's go ahead and pat me on the back.
You had to just. Did you type that yourself on your other account? Come on.
Yes, my other account. My real friends call me Jim.
Yeah. There you go.
No, man, good stuff. Thanks for coming on. You know, we can do this again sometime for sure. We had and guys here in the stream have mentioned it for a while. Like, man, you got to get Brian on.
Well, I come on there once in a while, but usually when we're just drinking margaritas.
We finally did it, and I was surprised to hear from you guys today, kind of. And I'm like, awesome, yeah, let's do it.
Well, when I say we're gonna do something, we do it. And the thing is, for better or for worse, that's what we do. We try to be people of our word. And so when we told you, 17 years ago we would do this, we meant it back then.
Awesome, I appreciate it, man, and keep up the good work, dude. You guys are putting in the time. So congrats. Best of luck on everything. Everybody, if they're not following you and sub to you already, like, please do. I mean, it is no by accident to be carving out a pond and building a pole building and moving a cherry tree and all this to continue to bring like super good content and to share their RC life with everybody. So there's a lot to be learned and gleaned and just entertainment overall from Brian Phillips RC. And if you know how to read between the lines, there's some funny stuff that happens between you two. Dude, one time I was at the shop and I just, YouTube just keeps on playing, right? And it started playing. This has happened to me a few times, and every time it happens, I usually leave it on because it's just super ridiculous. I think it's your Carbon Z Cub unboxing.
We were instructed to back it off a notch after that one.
Were you?
People were threatened to be fired over it.
Okay, I guess I could see how, but I didn't know that you received that instruction.
No, we were just it was just like an above board conversation, like, hey, keep that up and we may have to fire you.
HR got in touch with you on that one.
No, they enjoyed the conversation too, but what happened was there were some people that didn't, and so they said some things to some people that could make decisions about other people, and it didn't. Nothing came to fruition, but they took care of the problem. And Karen was just like,
fun stuff though. I remember me and Mike one time made a joke about how much space was in the Dynam SU-26. And I legit think Mike said something about a mini bar, room for a mini bar. Nothing. And it was, the guys thought it was funny, but it was like, can you, cut that out? Or
we don't want any alcoholics to be injured in this video.
Oh, come on. Anyway,
we try not to take ourselves too seriously on Brian Phillips RC, because if we did, we would have quit already.
Well, I thought it was fun when you had the pre-prepared document when you did a video on
the remote ID video.
Remote ID, yeah.
We spent a lot of time typing that up.
It was pre-prepared, and I barely made it through it on this thing. That's just a battery. Here it is. Where is it? There it is, right there.
No, good job. I mean, if they don't know where you're at after the stuff between the lines smacking them in the face, then they've got other problems, I'm afraid.
It's like a swinging pendulum.
Yeah.
A wrecking ball. Some people might call it.
Obvious.
Yeah. Well,
and all good.
We try not to bring it in because we don't want to off-put anybody, because there's plenty of room in this hobby for people that have stark differences in worldview. And I say that with all joking aside. The truth is, I love this hobby. I love people. I want people to be doing it. And if that means that we have to slowly win you over so that you don't continue to believe those things that you did before, try to change your mind, that's fine. But even if we don't, it's still okay. We'll still help you to learn how to fly your airplanes. That's
good stuff.
All right, later, guys.
I think we share a lot of the same people. I saw a handful of new names in here tonight, but I think a lot of my dudes are checking you guys out also all the time. So pretty cool. I'm going to say goodbye to you. I'm going to stay on for about 5 minutes, wrap it up with the chat, but thanks so much. I'll talk to you again soon. And next time you shout out me,
Pilot Ryan Media,
the whole name of the channel. Yeah.
There's this dude named Ryan.
And we were maybe on there.
He's on the World Wide Web.
Yeah. Guys, Brian, Megan, thanks so much.
Good night.
We'll see you. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much. That was fun. That was so fun. I could have just said goodbye at the same time as them and done the count off. But that, I don't know. It seemed like it might have been weird to not just linger a little bit. It's been about a 3-hour show, so just a couple minutes. There they are. Good times. We finally got it done. We've been talking about this for a while. Yeah, Al, good times, man. Me and Brian have a good time. We're buds. I talked to him, and it was nice that they etched out that time for us tonight. So yeah, check out their, new releases when they drop. Check it out. You know what I mean? Couldn't have been a shorter show, not with Brian on there. So yeah. Good times. Yeah. Make sure you stay tuned, turn on your notifications for them. They're able to they're getting a lot of the new releases. Oh, we didn't talk about his free plane. Well, we'll have to get him on next time for some of that. And yeah, we didn't. It's easy to forget about that for me. I don't know why. So yeah, that was awesome. I hope you guys are getting to fly, and I was completely prepared to be like painting on cockpits and stuff again this time. And then they, right after the football game, I got a text, and then I was like, yeah, that's right. Me and him talked about it earlier in the week, and he was going to talk to Megan about time, and he knew that they had photos to do today, family photos. So I did not have my hopes up at all. And so I was very glad to hear from them today. And then we did a little test run because they didn't know what to expect, how it goes. It's really easy. So we did a test run earlier in the day, and then I went and put some laps in on the Noble track and came back and watched the Lions completely annihilate Dallas, and watched Beetlejuice and did the show. So it's been a good weekend. Thanks so much, guys. Tune in for the truck show Thursday night. We got the base camp built. We'll try to decide what maybe kit to do next. Again, just finished the base camp. I've got another project to wrap up with the Golden Nugget showed back up. It was actually amazing. I thought I would never see this Golden Nugget again. And I went to the swap meet, the only one I go to ever, because it's in my town. I went to the swap meet yesterday, and our buddy Tony was there, and he was selling some planes, and he had the Golden Nugget sitting under his table. And I was so glad to see it. And I would have been glad to see it even if it was sitting on the table, like he was trying to sell it, because it didn't matter. It was coming home with me. But yeah, man, Tony and I worked on that truck, and this was before we were 3D printing. And he built the sides and the doors and the top. And I sent it with him, and I put the lift on it, different tires and all the stuff. I sent it with him to do the windows. And stuff happened in life, and he didn't get to it. And it's still in the same shape I gave it to him in. But that's okay. I'll do the windows. I know how. And it's got a Spectrum ESC in it. It's got big 2.2 Patagonias on it. We'll get some. I was looking for files for hinges, and the one thing that always bothered me was the roof. We made it out of a piece of wood that's really flat. I'd like to have a roof with a radius on it, but we'll talk about that stuff more on Thursday. 3D printing, base camp, kind of getting it dialed in to fit, decide how to fab it up to work on this Willie's wagon. We're right there with the trimmer's truck, where honestly we got to do the windows and attach the body and patina the thing, but it's built, everything's right, pretty good. Check out Real Flight tomorrow on Wild Bill's channel. I've thought about it, Jim. Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I wonder even if you could take files and do it, and it be different enough that you could get away with it. I need to do something though. I'm going to check out Knights Customs, which has a system where you can basically print things for his stuff for people, and ship them off or sell them locally or whatever. So it's something I need to look into. Got to do something. This is, I'm low key, on the tube. It is kind of what it is. So I gotta ramp it up somehow or another. But guys, thanks so much for being with me for so long. Give it a like if you were here and liked it. If I tell you, we have a lot of regulars here tonight. So if you were new and you enjoyed the room, this is really very much what you can expect every Sunday night at 9 o'clock Eastern time. The truck stuff we do on Thursday, 9 o'clock Eastern time. I try to save it on the Sunday show. And, we're 3D printing bits for planes on Sunday, doing some, I kind of foresee some paint stuff and finish work kind of things, in the future. If I'm not got something to build, that makes a lot of sense, that I will share my modeling prowess in regards to paint and finish, and see what we can come up with on a 3D printer. If you're in a 3D printer and you like the Bamboo Lab plug and play aspect, it's made me look like a pro from the get-go. Links in the description. There is no more website. I quit doing it, but the links in the descriptions are still always there. Same links that were on the website. If you want to help support the channel and click through, a lot of people buy on Amazon for stuff that's not RC. I've got that. The links may or may not be in the description for that. I got to make it happen, actually, because I relied on the site for so long that I may have to build out the description. But anyway, thanks so much. We'll see you in the next one. Super fun. Thanks again to Brian and Megan. We'll see you next time. We are out of here in 5. Hanger rats forever. 3 you later. You're too good to be forgotten. We'll see you next time. Bye now. Boom.